I just finished watching all of season 6 so that we can talk about all things Rory. So if I start crying, that's why the tears are still literally drying on my face as I speak. So
Thank you for taking one for the team, because I wasn't going to do that to myself.
I took one for everyone, and I have a lot of notes, so it's going to be a very long conversation, I think. So feel free to stop me and interrupt me at any point, because there's a lot to talk about in celebration of Rory.
I wish we had had the time to do this on the 1st, when it was actually her birthday, but it's nice having it kind of spaced apart with everything that was already happening.
Yeah, I love Mondays, and birthday parties are not necessarily on the day of the birth, so it's okay. We can celebrate her birthday today. So happy birthday, Rory Jane Decker Morningstar.
I am so excited to cover the Rory scenes. She's so funny, and I love her.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot. And then before we jump into anything, like obviously this whole show tonight is going to contain spoilers for season 6. So if you haven't seen season 6, just turn around and come back next week for when we discuss season 1, episode 11, because we're going deep into season 6 today.
Yeah, we'll just wait for some people to join us, and then we will get started. But we were very late tonight, so hopefully we get a couple people in.
Yeah, I mean, last week it jumped up like almost immediately. Like, I think people necessarily don't want to join live, but then they're like, okay, it's done. Let me listen to it right now. I mean, it jumped up last week, so we'll see.
Yeah, and I think that's part of it being Mondays too, is people come home from work and they're like, oh, well, I'll play this while I make dinner. So it's probably nice to just have it recorded like we normally do.
Agreed. But yeah, I can wait a couple minutes before we really get going here.
I keep forgetting to add you as a co-host.
It's okay. I think it just like broke on me temporarily. I was like, oh no, my mic is off and I'm the only one prepared.
I'm not ignoring you. I have got like 8,000 things happening on my phone all at once. So I momentarily lost Twitter and couldn't find it to reopen my mic.
You're good. Like I said, I have a lot of stuff to discuss, and this whole thing could just be me talking to myself. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But yeah, just interrupt me or whatever. Raise your hand, like if you have something to say, and I will stop talking.
Your mic was super clear in the beginning, but now it's breaking up a lot. I'm not sure if it's like your signal or what, but just letting you know.
Okay. But I think we'll get started now. I feel like the first question is why April 1st for Rory's birthday? And the simple answer is that we did the math, way too much math. And it turns out
Sex
that...
math.
What?
Don't do your sex math in front of me.
Oh, I did the sex math on a piece of paper and I figured it out all the way.
Watch season 6 and you don't remember the Rory quote?
Of course I remember the quote. I wrote down 3 Rory quotes that are my favorite, and that was one of them. I love that quote.
It's so funny to me because they don't even process that they're doing it in front of her. They're just like, well, maybe when you were on the balcony. And then she's like, no, we're not doing this. Please stop.
I know, I love that. She's like, I don't need to hear my parents discussing having sex in front of me. Like, I remember being a kid and my parents would kiss in front of me and I'd be like, ugh. Like, so discussing further than just kissing is like, oh, please stop, please stop, please stop.
But yes, April 1st, we decided that because we did the sex math. Sorry, this conversation is not rated for children, but and also like we discussed, it really suits her personality, like an Aries, and the fact that she's just a jokester, a prankster. Like her first meeting with Maze, like immediately she's pulling a prank on them. Maze of all people, which is so funny to me. Like she just knew that Maze wouldn't murder her. And then yeah, it just suits Rory's personality so well, being an April 1st baby. So we kind of just decided that it is very much canon, and maybe one of the writers will confirm it for us one day.
But yes, that's what I was going to talk about next is her personality. Her personality completely fits, I feel like, being born on April Fool's Day and then being an April Aries. Like, she's just such an April 1st. It just makes sense. I literally have written here, her personality fits April Aries, specifically April 1st, so well. And I'll jump into specifics about her personality in a second. Um, but yeah, I just wanted to like say again, like, happy birthday to Rory, who was born on Friday, April 1st. Birth announcement, LOL. Chloe Decker gave birth to Lucifer Morningstar's daughter, Aurora Jane Decker Morningstar. And so we just wanted to throw her a little party here and celebrate and welcome her to Earth. And so we're going to go over some of our favorite scenes and lines and just talk about headcanons. And yeah, I hope everybody has a fun conversation tonight. But I want to go into her personality first because, like I said, that's why we decided on April 1st. Like, we thought it made the most sense. The first thing I have written here says, I will always love Rory because she is Decker Star's baby and they are my OTP. Okay. Her personality, she has all of Lucifer's celestial abilities, but then all of Chloe's human vulnerabilities. And she really is like the best of both of them. And I literally wrote down like bullet points of her personality traits since I want to go through those real quick. Go ahead.
I was just gonna butt in and say, like, it's so funny to me because, like, not only does she look so much like them, so, like, awesome job casting director, like, it depends on which angle, but, like, she looks like Lucifer, and then she turns and you're like, wow, you look like Chloe. But not even just that, like, she reflects their personalities so well. Like, Lucifer, like, she's got like a very good fashion sense, like Lucifer, although it's very different from Lucifer's. And she's just very like sarcastic and witty like him. But then she's got Chloe's intelligence and like, I don't know, like they're just, she's like a perfect mix of both of them, and it's just amazing to watch because like it's like you can be like, oh, I love Lucifer, he's my favorite character. You can be like, I love Chloe because and she's my favorite character. But then you get with Rory and you're like, you're just like such a perfect blend of both of them, and it's so funny just seeing her kind of alternate between like these two completely opposite personalities.
I love everything you just said. Just quickly about like her fashion stunts, I did write a little bit about that. Just that I love her style. For me, like I can totally see it being like she has a fashion sense like Lucifer, like he knows how to dress. But I feel like Rory gets her style from Chloe's goth phase in her youth. Like it was definitely inspired by her mother's youth, I think. And then I can't pick a favorite outfit of hers. I was watching, like looking at just like her clothes and stuff, and I'm like, I love all of them. Maybe the yellow leather jacket at the beach, but I love all of her outfits, every single one, really.
I absolutely adore that yellow leather jacket, and I'm gonna buy it at some point. It's literally in my cart on Mercari, but I have her red jacket. However, it's too big on me, and I have to buy a size smaller. But yes, her fashion sense is amazing, and like that shot where we first see her on Lucifer's throne, where it just goes by her shoes. I literally like fell in love with her. I was like, I don't know who this person is. Like, I was dead set on her being Lucifer's sister in the beginning. I was like, there's no way it's his daughter. Like, they wouldn't bring in an adult daughter this soon. And then I was like, oh, it's his daughter. But I really thought it was his sister at first. And I was like, her shoes are so cool. And she's so pretty. And she's so funny. And then they're like, oh, it's their daughter. I'm like, what? Like, I literally had to pause for like 20 minutes. I was like, what just happened?
So send me the link. Like, okay, so Mercari is only one thing. Never mind. I was gonna be like, send me the link. I want to buy the jacket, but never mind.
No, there's other
But
places with it too. Mercari's just where I'm buying it because it's a little cheaper.
send me the link if you know like what it is specifically, because it's really cute. Um, but then going back to just really quickly, her looking like her parents. So when Lucifer first meets Rory, and we'll get into this more, but when Lucifer first meets Rory, he says, like, when he looked into her eyes, like, they looked familiar. And my brain was like, okay, but did they look like his own, or did he see Chloe looking back at him? Like, that, because she does look so much like both of them that he just like looked into her eyes and knew it was her. I was like, but is it him or did he see Chloe? That's all.
While we're
But going
talking
back,
about
oh,
Sorry. While we're talking about Rory's fashion, I know this is kind of a little different, but it kind of falls into fashion for me. I literally cannot get enough of Rory's wings. Like they are amazing, and I've so debated on saving up $2,000 or $3,000 to have someone who custom makes wings on like Etsy make me a pair that look like hers because they're so cool. And the blades, like I didn't realize they were blades at first because I know Amenadiel can turn his into blades, like they all can, but the fact that they're like are just permanently blades, first of all, those have to be really, really heavy. But like I don't know, I love them. I love that they're like pinky red and they fade into the black and the blades and it's so cool and I adore that like her reason for that is because of Chloe. And I'm like, "Oh my god, you literally love your mom so much." It's cool because so do I.
Aw. Wait, I thought you meant you love your mom so much, but no, you love Chloe so much, and that's so cute.
My mom, it's debatable most days. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No, but for me, anybody who knows me knows how much I love my mom. And so when I watch Rory and Chloe and like knowing that Rory came from Chloe's deathbed and like her relationship with her mom, like I cry because it makes me think of me and my mom, honestly. Like that's what makes me so sad with that. But yes, about her wings, I literally wrote she has knives for wings. They're metallic, and each feather is its own blade, and they represent strength and protection. And she gets that strong personality from Chloe, and I love that.
And I have a headcanon too that I kind of got from a fic earlier, and I don't know whose fic it was. Maybe Lily's. But it was kind of already thinking it. The fact that like I don't know if anybody's ever seen Percy Jackson and like the Olympians and all that, how even though his dad's not around, he still kind of like talks to him like through, technically we would call it prayer, but like, mental speaking. Um I fully 100% believe that Lucifer did that occasionally with Rory. Now, obviously, he might not give away who it is talking to her, and I think that maybe Rory would just assume that either she's kind of crazy or she's just like imagining it. But I definitely think that like when if Rory was really struggling with him being gone, or like she's just kind of like talking out into the universe because she's having trouble with school or girls or whatever. I fully believe that Lucifer would have like popped in and been like, even just something quick, like, "Oh, go talk to your mom about it. Mom can fix all of this because," and then he would just go on a half-hour rant about how amazing Chloe is.
Aw. And literally anything goes in headcanon world, so I will accept that one. That I love that idea of I love the idea of Chloe praying to Lucifer and Rory praying to Lucifer. I love that whole idea.
I
Um,
really think it was Lily that wrote the fic earlier, so like full credit to her because I don't want to like steal credit for that. Whoever wrote it, but I think it was Lily, the Usually Sunny account.
Okay. Just going back to her wings really quick because I wrote the quote down from I think episode 8. Um, so when Chloe first sees Rory's wings, she's like so like worried about them and kind of horrified and thinks that she caused her daughter to feel the need to have these strong, powerful wings. And Rory says, "I love these badass wings because they remind me of the person I admire most, my mom. These wings are like one of the million wonderful, powerful things you gave me." And it's just, yeah, just the fact that they're a representation of her love for Chloe and their strong relationship. I love that.
Literally just watching any scene with Chloe and Rory makes me want to cry. Because they're so freaking precious to each other. Like, you can just tell how much Rory looks up to Chloe and how much Chloe loves Rory. And I love the scene where they meet because Chloe is literally a trained cop. She is a detective, and there's a strange woman in her house raiding her fridge for ice cream, and she's just like not even like concerned, doesn't pull her weapon, doesn't nothing. She's just like, "Yeah, you say you're my daughter. Okay, your name's Aurora. That makes sense."
I know. I love almost all the seasons of her with Chloe, and I did write them all down when I was watching the episodes, and I can go into more details about them later specifically. But I want to bounce back up to the top here and just go through her personality traits, like I had said earlier, because besides the fact that it makes her birthday make so much sense, but I think they're just like a great representation or an example of who the character is. So I'll start with quotes from inside the show that like described her because I thought they were all really funny. So when Lucifer is looking for Rory in episode 4, he describes her early 20s, resting mean face, loves blaming others, combative, rebellious. And I think he says to Amenadiel that she has pink streaks in her hair, heavy eyeliner, and angry eyebrows. And then when Dan says that Rory brought him up from hell, he describes her as a crazy psycho punk rock angel. And I love also Linda when she first meets Rory, she says to Lucifer that she takes after him in her exits. Like she really is her parents' daughter.
And honestly, minus like the pink streaks and all that, like if you had just read that description off to me without like giving any pronouns or anything, I'm like, okay, we're talking about Lucifer and because like literally like Lucifer, like especially in the beginning, he's just got a grumpy face and he's got the brown hair and the like rebellious attitude. And I'm like, that's Lucifer that you're talking about. What do you mean? Who's Aurora?
I love it so much. I love that so much. Um, what I did write down is that like her mama, she's strong, but she's also really soft. Like there are a couple scenes where Rory really like she has the mean eyebrows, but she can soften her face when she's trying to like when okay, Rory's personality is very defensive mostly, and it comes from her lifetime of being hurt. Um, but there are moments where she lets her guard down and her face softens, and then it's like, oh, that's Chloe's daughter there. And so it really bounces between being her looking like and being Lucifer's daughter and looking like and being Chloe's daughter. She is the perfect combination of them both, and she is so cute, and I love her.
Well, and I also think that like because you see that a lot with Lucifer in the beginning too, like I think Rory is really at the point where Lucifer was in the beginning because he wants to she wants to know her father and she wants to wow, this is painful to talk about. Um she wants to know her dad and she wants to understand why he left her. And where Lucifer was at in the beginning is he's very defensive and he's very angry and he's rebelling and he doesn't want to hear anything other than, well, my dad is a bad person and this is why. And that's where Rory's at, is she's like, well, he left and there's no good reason for him to leave. It doesn't matter what my mom says, it doesn't matter what anyone else says. He's a bad person because he left us and he left mom. And I think she's especially angry that she assumes that he left Chloe. When we'll go back to that later, but I think that she's very angry not knowing that they still saw each other, and she just assumes that like, oh, he left me and mom and he's automatically a bad person for that. And so when she has those moments where she kind of like softens and opens up and you really see that under all of that anger is just a really sad and scared and hurt child, it's really, really bittersweet and really, really sad, and I want to hug her.
You are so right, and I never even thought about that. She really kind of goes through in her one season. I mean, we missed the beginning half of her life, but she goes through in her one season Lucifer's basically his whole journey that we see in the show, from being hurt to accepting his parent and loving his parent and then letting his parent go. Um, that's really beautiful and true. I just want to go over more personality traits because really I wrote down so many. um, I think Rory is mischievous. She is a jokester, naturally funny. My favorite reasoning for declaring April 1st as her birthday, though, is that she is such a prankster. Okay. When she meets Amenadiel, Maze, and Eve, she pranks them and was like, messes with them. And it kind of is played off as like she's torturing them, like Maze would. But I would call that being like a prankster. And then when she first meets Linda, she tells her that the only Linda Martin she knows is a convict, and so she's messing with her as well. And then when she first sees Trixie's room, she says that she like she like messes with Chloe and says that Trixie um, had porn on her computer, had like the best porn. And then she even messes with Lamech when he kidnaps her, which like I get that. Like I would mess with my kidnapper too, but she's like, "Oh, you die on the toilet, Elvis style." Like she's very she's a trickster. And I think honestly, if you kind of like boil it down, I feel like she's I feel like Rory is like the god Loki from Marvel, but as an angel, she's like the angel of mischief. Like she likes to have pull pranks and have fun and be a jokester. Um and like and I don't know if that's a positive or a negative or it can go both ways, but I see that's how I see her as a character. Um and then also like any trickster, I think she can be, and these are, I don't necessarily mean them negative, but or positive, but I think she can be manipulative. She'll do whatever it takes to get what she wants, which is both a good and a bad trait. Um, I do think that she is a little bit of a liar and dishonest, not like her dad. Um, because when she's in the therapy with Chloe and Lucifer, Lucifer says that my daughter lies, apple fell far from the tree. But honestly, I think the apple fell right next to Chloe's tree, because that episode, which is season 6, episode 5, kind of goes into about how Chloe's a liar. Even under the influence of the blade and without it, Chloe is a liar. she she does have her moments. Um, I also think that Rory, I mean, like, she got a lot of her personality traits from how she was raised, and which is without Lucifer. Like, she has an I don't give an F attitude. She has a tough exterior. She's on guard, walls up all the time. And which is why it's really nice when her walls drop and we see her soften and her face soften, because she's been so used, I think, in her 40 years, um, just having to be the tough person and then having to, like, I don't know, maybe, I mean, no idea, but she had to take care of her mom, because yes, Trixie was there, but I think Rory probably stuck around the longest. Um, and I'll get into this later, but Rory, I don't understand how the angels age. Is it like regular until they're an adult and then it slows down? Because if it's anything like Twilight, like at some point someone's gonna like figure out like, wait, this woman has looked the exact same for 20 years. So I do wonder how like Rory's life was. Um, but going back to her personality really quickly, I'm sorry I'm talking so much. Um, I think Rory is very spunky. She is jumpy. As Lucifer said, she has a persecution complex, which I had to Google, and she does. She thinks everyone is out to get her. And then we have to love the line from the wedding, which is that Lucifer saying that Rory got her mom's stubbornness. I mean, determination. Um, and that's Rory in a very long nutshell.
Okay, so I had like 8 points I wanted to touch on, but I forgot half of them by the time you stopped talking. I love you, and I'm saying that as nicely as possible. But by the time you quit talking, I was like, I have no idea what I was gonna say. However, touching on the aging subject, I honestly think, well, because like Lucifer said, angels are just born that way. There's never been a baby angel until obviously Charlie and then Rory. There's never been a baby angel before. So I think with Lucifer and Amenadiel and all them, they are just born the age that they are, and then they stay that way and they age that way, like a vampire, basically. They just are that forever, unless they self-actualize to be older or younger. So I think with Rory, she has her dad's celestial powers. I think the only really the part of her mom that she has is her vulnerability. Now, obviously, she ages as a child, but I think that she probably also, once she reached, a certain point, which she looks like a teenager, like an or a young adult, I think that she kind of self-actualized herself to remain that way. And I think a lot of it not only it has to do with the fact that like that's what suits her best for the timeline and like obviously like she's meant to look young because she is young in angel years, but I think also like self-actualizing herself into a teenager's kind of body and like mindset and personality, um, it really just reflects back onto that anger that she holds towards Lucifer for leaving her. And she's full of just teenage angst, and she just wants to. She's kind of like festering in it almost. And then you mentioned, yeah, she's a huge prankster, and I think honestly, like we see a tiny bit of that with Lucifer, maybe like a few jokes here and there with Chloe, but I really think that moment where she's picking on Maze and Eve in them, I think that's meant to show that she has a connection to Maze because that's very much Maze's personality shining through. And I think that, she growing up, obviously Maze would have been around quite a bit, even with her bounty hunting. So I think that she kind of gets the prankster thing from Maze because Trixie had it a lot too after hanging out with Mazikeen. But I just love that whole scene where she's like, "Hi, Auntie Eve," and then she just like, "Oh, hey, Maze," and Maze is like, "Wait a minute, why is she Auntie Eve and I'm just Maze?" And then I really do think that's her own form of torture, which is another connection back to Maze. Is just that she's like, "I'm gonna sit here and torture you guys for 20 minutes." And by the time Maze is ready to get up and murder her, she's just like, "Oh, I'm just kidding."
I did write that Maze and Rory's relationship is so special, and I don't know how much time they spent together, but you can tell of time together and how
I have
much
no idea
Maze
what you're
rubbed
saying.
off.
You're
Really?
breaking up really bad.
Oh my goodness. Okay, let me try again. Can you hear me now? Hello? Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah, sorry. I hit my mic button on and then didn't realize that it didn't work. Yes, you're better now.
Okay. What I was saying was that you can tell that Maze and Rory's relationship is so special. You can tell how much time that they spent together and that how much Maze rubbed off on Rory. Rory even calls Maze her favorite aunt. Um, and like, I have headcanons about how much time they spent together and why. But yeah, you can tell they spent a lot of time together.
I love that honestly because like I really think that it would just be natural for Mace to be close with Rory because not only was she close with Trixie, and I mean eventually Trixie would grow up and find other things she wants to do and not hang out with Maze all the time. And I really think that Mazikeen would take Rory under her wing and then like um when Rory when Chloe needed a babysitter or something, like I'm sure that Eve would take her and they would have girls' nights and stuff, which, I think is maybe another reason that Rory's wings could have come out pink is just because it's kind of like a girly aspect to her where she just like, it's guarded and all that, but it's still very, I guess, feminine, which is like a huge thing with Eve. She's very soft and feminine and sweet, and you see some of that in Rory as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I forget why I agree, but I totally agree.
I forget why I agree.
I'm
I love
sorry.
you.
I'm sorry. I'm running through my house right now. So usually I do these in the garage, but it is like 1,000 degrees in there right now. So
I was gonna say your garage isn't cold, but then I remember you don't live in upstate New York where it's freezing all the time.
but I was saying about just like how much time she spent with Maze. Like you can tell that it's a lot of time. And I forget why. And I'm sorry.
I also want to say too, like I love when she meets Trixie because she doesn't even like try and really hide the fact that they're sisters. Trixie just doesn't understand. So like she's just talking and you've got Trixie standing there like all confused. And I love their interaction. And like this isn't exactly Rory oriented, but I also love the scene at the wedding between Trixie and Maze. Like that's so funny to me. Like she's trying to sneak her alcohol and um Eve is like, "No, don't do that." And that just really links back to the episode we just watched with Maze trying to give Trixie alcohol. Did you vanish? Are you still running through your house? I'll just talk. It's fine. Um, Rory scenes. I haven't watched season six when it came out. I I love like one of the final scenes. Like this wasn't included, and I really wish they had included it. But I'm also kind of glad they didn't. But I don't know if you guys ever saw like um, DB just did a like a live on Instagram months ago where he shared a scene that didn't make the final cut, but it was when Lucifer and Chloe were talking, I think out on like the balcony, and Rory sees them talking. And like I know that didn't make the final cut for the show, but oh, I love that scene so much. It holds a special place in my heart, and I really wish that we had seen it. And then like bouncing back to Rory also seeing them, like I still wish that we had gotten a proper conversation between Chloe and Lucifer about the sacrifices, but I do really like how they did it with like Rory being the one to come forward and being like, okay, now I finally understand. Like I get it. I understand why you defended him all these years and why, you didn't just get mad at him for leaving me. Like he really did he did love you and he loved me, and I just couldn't see that. Renee, go ahead.
It's quite interesting you bring that up actually, because Rory did like mention like, yeah, I saw you talking back there. I think that was the only link to that deleted scene where Rory did listen to their conversation. They're like during his time, Rory's time, like the Rory's are like, oh, why do you keep on defending him? Like everybody says how great he is, and like why? Then kind of this episode, like she finally understands that that's like a great thing.
Sorry, I am here and I'm listening. I'm trying to find a place that's not sweltering hot, and I'm going up to my community park, but I'm listening.
I love that you're just like, wow, everywhere in my house is too warm. I'm gonna go on a walk at what is it, like 8 o'clock at night for you to just do a podcast in public. I love that for you.
I don't have another choice. All I have is our dogs, but those dogs do not be quiet for nothing, so.
Okay, so yes, jumping back to Rory. See, this hard for me because like I remember all of the Rory scenes and I love all of them for the most part. It's just like trying to remember them off the top of my head because I have to remember them for this. My brain's like not doing it today. Renee, go ahead.
Yeah, like the one thing I remembered, like this is one of them, but like Rory getting her own devil face. Well, actually nearly, because Lucifer managed to stop Rory to get that her own devil face. But like, do you guys remember that part?
Oh my gosh, yes, the devil face. I loved that scene. I loved it so much. And I fully believe that Rory has a devil face because like I don't know if she so much sees herself as a monster, but like sees herself as being unlovable because Lucifer left her. So like and that kind of manifested itself into a devil face. But I think that she fully has it. Like it just like didn't manifest until that moment. Because she didn't need it, she wasn't trying to. I mean, Lucifer, she wanted to kill him, but it was like knowing who he is. Obviously, the devil face wouldn't intimidate him. So I fully believe that she has it, and that's just part of her as much as it's part of Lucifer. And like maybe eventually down the line, or maybe she did by the end of it kind of reconcile, and she doesn't have the devil face anymore. But I just love that scene so much. And I love, like, as much as it's absolutely terrible and it's like, I don't like that it's happening to her, I really love the idea of the fact that not only was she the bait, but she was the weapon too. Like, something that she loved so much and was so proud of, her wings and who they came from, like, became the weapon that was going to kill her favorite person. And, like, I'm hurting myself right now. Do you guys hear me crying? I'm gonna cry. Oh my gosh. So like I can't talk about season 6 without crying. Kim, why would you do this to me? Oh Jesus. Okay, so Kim, talk.
Okay, yes, I can hear you crying, and I'm ready to change the topic at any time. Um, I'm still on the Mazikeen conversation, but we can bounce back up. So I know you don't remember like any of the episodes in depth, which is why I wrote them all down in all the details. Give me 1 second. I found a place to sit. Okay, great. Oh, so the one thing I wanted to say, and this goes back to her personality, is the song that's first playing when we see Rory. The lyrics kind of introduce her. They say, I'm a joker, I'm a devil, I'm a demon, I'm a rebel. And I think that that's like really cool that they chose a song to introduce her like that.
Okay, yes, I love that, and I also really love like the whole soundtrack for season 6 is just amazing, and I am almost tempted to put myself in that much agonizing pain again just for the soundtrack. Like that song at May's and Eve's wedding too is just like it's so perfect and it describes all of them so perfectly. And then yes, Rory's introduction song, and it's great. Kim, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, let's not even talk about the music because, like, the song at the wedding, but then the song that was used for the Decker Star montage in episode 8, like, oh, just all the music, like, the series, like, the final song of the whole series, like, whoever was on the music team deserves, like, an Emmy or something.
Renee, go ahead. Renee, you can go ahead if you want.
Sorry, I thought I had the microphone on. But I gotta say, like, the point in episode 3 where Dan is going like, "I'm willing to listen," and Rory's like, "Well, in that case, I'll play this music aloud in the apartment." And then like, "No, I meant to you. I'm listening to you," and she just give that like rock star kind of look, like.
You know, and like this is random too, but I love the scenes between Dan and Rory. Like they're so funny to me, and like the fact that he just like you fully expect after all of the seasons of Dan just being a douchebag, you fully expect him to be like, yeah, let's go kill Lucifer, cause fuck that guy. Um, so like the fact that he initially is going with it, you're like, Daniel, dude, really? And then he's like, Lucifer, this person's gonna kill you. And you're like, oh, okay, Dan. All right, good. You redeem yourself after death. That's good. That's something.
Sorry, there's nature around me. I have a bird chirping and cars driving by, so I hope you can hear me. I kind of want to change the topic because I wrote a whole lot up here, and like I said, I'm gonna stop halfway through. But I want to change the topic kind of to like, how do we think Rory was created? So I love that we can like track when she was created. Like, I think it was after Lucifer got back from visiting Dan in hell in the first episode. Decker Star went at it all night. And then in episode 1, there's a lightning strike in hell. And I think that's when like the baby was made. The devil made a baby. But how was she made? Like, we know she wasn't an accident because that literally cannot happen. Angels can't procreate. So, like, how do you think Rory was created?
Well, so going back to Amenadiel's rod, both figuratively and literally, the necklace and the other one. There's so much sex math in this fucking conversation. I'm sorry, the F word. I need to stop with that. Okay. So Amenadiel, when he lost his wings, became pretty much human. And obviously the rod would, give him that ability. So I think that's when, like, kind of Charlie was made. So cycling back to that, is I do not think Lucifer self-actualized wanting a family with Chloe. Like, I am 100% against that theory. No offense to anybody else who thinks that, but I truly do not think that that's it. Because they made Amenadiel's rod. I hate calling it that because it just sounds so wrong. Amenadiel's necklace, it was such a pivotal point in this episode, and in this season, that I think that they did that on purpose to show us that that is how Rory came to be, because it gave Chloe celestial abilities. Like, she was super strong and all this other stuff. Like, I really think that that's what made her capable of having a child with Lucifer. And it was definitely the time that she was over the balcony, or the whole crushing her into the wall bit. Renee, go ahead.
I kind of agree with what you're saying. Like for Amenadiel's case, he was like downgraded because for Chloe it's like an upgrade to match with the other. And also like Lucifer is against having a child unless it's Chloe. So I guess that kind of part of him unconsciously like want a child with Chloe. Like I mean, throughout the whole episode where he tried to disclaim him being the dad, and like um and even Chloe was upset. Like, what if you did like self-actualize having a child with someone else, like other than me? Like, but like deep down, like, cause it happens to Lucifer like constantly as this season shows that things happen unconsciously, like to Lucifer. But also I gotta point out something, like before season 6 was released, on media they posted about Rory saying that that he wants to follow Lucifer's footsteps, and turns out he's not the big bro he thought he was. So mainly everyone thinks that Rory's a sister back then, and so I guess that makes it really effective when we find out that she's actually her daughter in this season.
Okay, I want to tell my theory. I think it's my turn. Um, so I do agree with that theory. Like, I know people have said like, "Oh, that's the wrong theory. That's a crazy theory." But I do think that there is a theory that because Chloe had the necklace, she had supernatural abilities, which allowed her to become pregnant, as they were both supernatural in that moment. And Lucifer does say that the blade may have given Chloe more celestial qualities than just super strength. So, like, maybe it allowed her to become pregnant with a angel baby or a half angel baby. But I also really love the theory that Lucifer wanted to be one with Chloe so much that he self-actualized a child, which is the embodiment of two becoming one, because he subconsciously wanted to get closer to Chloe. I'm partial to the two becoming one theory personally.
Like I said, I'm fine with like whatever you believe. Like to me, it just made the most sense that it was the rod, because they made that the necklace. It was the necklace. I'm gonna stop saying rod. So it made the most sense to me because they made it such a pivotal part of this season. But with that too is like I really think, because, and like another thing that's supporting that, and again, like I'm fine with whatever you guys believe. That's fully on you. I am not like trying to argue my point and be like, well, this is why I'm right. This is just what I think. Is because Lucifer is so against having a child. Like, yeah, he likes Trixie, but him and Chloe just got together. Like, this is his time with her to be a one-on-one. He knows having a kid would kind of like interrupt the flow of that, but he also, like, you can see that as he's chasing down all these women trying to find who he could have a child with. He's so against it. The only time it shows that he might be okay with it is when it becomes, oh, because it's with Chloe. If it's with Chloe, it's fine. So I really don't think that at that point in time he's thinking about, or even subconsciously creating a child with her. I really fully believe it was the rod, and like, you know, something like that. Rod necklace. Kim, I saw your laughing face and it made me stop. The necklace. Kim, and then Renee, go ahead.
The only thing I was going to add is, no matter what, like, we know Rory was made from the most love. She wouldn't be here if not for the actual love that her parents shared, and that she was made out of love. And also, she was wanted from the beginning, and she will never know how much she was actually wanted, because she's a literal miracle. But adding partially to what you just said, I think it was about how Lucifer only wanted a child with Chloe, and like, yeah, I agree with that statement. I forget. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Renee.
I feel like to point this out, but like at the first episode, you know, because Lucifer says like, I despise children, and then like jump all the way to season 4 where Lucifer will go like, I would do anything to protect that little urchin. But like and also in season 6, like he was horrified of how uh, like I said, that guy was like taking control of these children. So I think he does evolve, like, because he doesn't hate his children as much as the other as he was in the beginning. I just think of the character development for Lucifer, like when it comes to kids, for him.
The only thing I wanted to add was that I wanted Lucifer to have a child and hold his own child, since he held Charlie, and I will forever be sad that we don't get to see him hold his own child.
Kim, the effort is to not make everyone in the space sob. Why are you doing this to us? Okay, now I wanted to talk about this too. I wanted to touch on this because now, again, whatever you believe is fine, but I fully believe this is canon, and I will literally go down with this ship. I don't care. So I fully believe that Lucifer only left Rory. I think that him and Chloe met up and they saw each other secretly and privately. Even Ildy and Joe read into that somewhat. I do not think in a million years that Lucifer would ever leave Chloe. I think that it was bad enough that he had to leave Rory behind. There's no way that he would agree to leaving both. So I fully believe that they wrote each other letters and saw each other in private. I mean, we already know that Maze, had Rory from time to time. There's nothing stopping them from seeing each other. We know that Chloe can lie. And if Lucifer is not seeing Rory, there's no need for him to necessarily need to lie to her. So he would still be telling the truth by not having to lie at all. And I think that Trixie saw him too. We know that Trixie can lie too. So it's just like, it's one of those things where I fully believe that they saw each other and he only had to leave Rory. And while I still feel absolutely terrible for Rory, and I would prefer that than him leaving both of them. Kim, go ahead.
Just gonna add that I have a deep, convoluted theory as to why Lucifer never left Chloe, and I will hold on to it until my last breath. Yeah, that's all. And that's why we became best friends and we bonded over that. So, but we can change it to the episodes if we want to and go back to the actual canon. Okay, so the first episode where Rory has a lot to do is episode 2. And again, I'm probably going to talk a lot, so raise your hand and I will stop. So in episode 2, angry and desperate for answers to why Lucifer wasn't in her life, Rory accidentally time travels back to 2021 seeking her dad. And honestly, I think she went too far if she landed in hell thinking he'd be there because he's still on Earth. But initially, she wants to destroy Lucifer Morningstar. And I think it's funny that a demon dressed as a nurse in hell gives her whole plan and leads her to enlisting Dan's help, who had in season 5 just walked up to Lucifer and shot him. And that's the closest that Lucifer ever came to death. So that's what happens in episode 2.
You mentioned Rory going to hell. There was something I was going to say. I forgot what it was. Rory killing Lucifer. We all know about the butterfly effect. Did this girl not think this through? If she kills her father, that maybe just possibly it would completely erase her existence? I just wish that maybe Dan, in all his ghosty glory, had been have you really, sat down and thought this through, you precious little devil child? Renee, go ahead.
I think I might point out something. I think Rory doesn't actually realize that she went back in time. After all, this is they say that this is her first time she went back in time. So I don't think she knows that she did. Even when she meet up with Lucifer later, I finally got you. And when Lucifer showed that he was confused, she was also confused. And who are you? And I'm your daughter. Not just I'm your daughter from the future. So I think both of them are confused. I'm not sure if you guys caught this detail. So I think it wasn't until she went some point in episode 4, she might because she flew off, she might wander around and wait, and oh my god, she probably figure out that she went back in time during episode 4. After all, during episode 3, she spent her whole time in the penthouse with Dan, so probably remained the same back in her time.
This is changing the topic again, and I'm sorry. It's going back to what we were previously discussing about the creation of Rory. I just remembered what I was going to say. If Lucifer didn't want to have a child, he probably should not have been sleeping with somebody who had the rod. That's all. I'm going to go into episode 3, unless somebody has something else to add about episode 2. Okay, so
I'm
episode
just talking about the random moments I remember. I'm not going in any specific order, and I love that I'm totally screwing up your timeline.
You're good. You're good. Just coming back around here. So episode 3, I mean, with each episode, like there's more and more Rory scenes, and I think it's funny. I didn't realize that she was in every single episode until I watched it looking for her scenes. So in episode 3, she finally flies Dan up to Earth, thinking that he'll help her, but instead he tries to warn Lucifer about her. Um, and then I love the scene, and you already discussed it kind of, but I love the scene between Rory and Dan towards the end because Rory is in pain, and Dan just wants to talk to her, and he tells her, I know what it's like to be in pain and want to hurt someone, but the person who gets hurt the most is yourself. I'm here to listen to you, to your feelings. Dan and Rory are nothing to each other. I mean, he is her sister's father, but that's it. And so I think that it's like a very adorable scene that Dan just wants to help this girl who's obviously in pain. Um, and then episode 3, it ends with Lucifer coming home and being surprised by Dan and Rory's presence, and Rory jumps him and tells him, I'm your daughter. And this is after a lifetime of 40 years of thinking about him and looking for him. Like, this is when she first meets him, really. And the first thing she does is, like, stick her wing against his throat and tries to kill him. And then just to add, so the first time that I watched this scene, I had to turn my TV off for literally 2 hours after she said, I'm your daughter, because I was terrified of what that meant for Decker Star, because I thought that, like, she was his with somebody else. Little did I know that Rory was actually Chloe's.
Oh, see, the minute she said that she was his daughter, I had absolutely no doubt in my mind that it would link back to Chloe somehow. I had no concerns that was a Decker Star baby. Maybe I should have had some concerns though. However, like I love that scene where she just like has the blades to his throat. It really makes me think of that scene in Tangled for some reason. But I don't know. I love that her and Dan have those soft moments, and I like that we do eventually get some soft moments between Rory and Lucifer too. Like the whole beach scene is really sweet to see between the two of them. Um, and like just all of her moments with Chloe are so soft and so sweet, and I love it. Like they're like I said it already, but their like first official meeting, so to speak, is just the best, and it's so soft and so pure. And I'm just like, Chloe, you're being a terrible detective right now.
Did you have something to add, Renee?
I just think of what to add. Like, just to link back to the moment where I mentioned before about her not realize she traveled back in time. Like, also, like like she didn't think to visit his dad like in hell, but I'm guessing it's that Amenadiel might prevent her from traveling to hell during her time, or maybe like something would prevent because we know now that that Lucifer was in hell the whole time, so just something to bring up.
And then I'm gonna go into episode 4. If you guys have nothing more to add about 3, episode 4 was a lot. So I'm gonna just go slowly, and if you have something to add, please raise your hand. So episode 4 sees Lucifer trying to prove whether or not Rory really is his daughter, and we get a lot from this episode, like I said. So it opens with Rory having Lucifer look into her eyes to prove she is his daughter. And I was really watching her because, like I said, I was watching for her this time around, like in her scenes and stuff. When he stares into her eyes, she trembles. And I thought it was like really interesting and beautiful. Like you could tell from this scene. Hold on one second.
While you're taking your pause, I'm gonna add to your thought. To me, it's not so much of a tremble as much as like Lucifer kind of kneels down to like, well, not kneels down, but like kind of leans to look into her eyes. And the way I see it is like she kind of like straightens, like she's trying to like almost like a bird would. Like I hate comparing them to birds, but they have wings, so they're birds. But like she kind of like almost puffs up, and she makes herself taller because she wants him to be proud of what he sees. Like and like that really just shows that even under all of her anger and her she just wants him to see her and be proud of her and love her and be proud of like the person that she's become. So like she kind of like she straightens out and she's like, okay, you see me, like I'm here. And what do you think? Like, am I everything you ever imagined I would be? Kim, go ahead.
Sorry, I had to pause. There was a car driving right in front of me. It's interesting. We got to the same endpoint, you and I, but we got there differently. Like I said, I feel like what I saw was a tremble. Like I don't know, watching Rory, I felt like deep down, like she just wanted her daddy. She never stopped missing him or wanting him, and she just wanted to be loved by him, and she just wants him to hold her. And in that moment, like I feel like she completely let her guard fall, and she almost probably forgot why she was actually there, which was to kill him. But then he rejects her and says that she is not his daughter, and her walls immediately go back up. She is appalled, and being rejected by Lucifer just makes her more angry and more pissed off and so hurt already. And she's just so hurt. Like again and again, he keeps hurting her from her perspective, and she tells him, "I wouldn't want you to be my dad anyway." Like she's just so pissed off that he rejected her. Either of you have anything to add? Because I'll jump into Lucifer's side in a second.
Yeah, I mean, just pretty much that is like, she, like I said, she kind of puffs up and wants him to be proud of her, and she's like, okay, he's gonna accept me. Like, here's where things change, and I think she's really hoping in that moment that, like, if he accepts her, all of that anger that's been festering in her for years will just go away. And then he rejects her. So not only did he abandon her, but like now he's just denying that she's his altogether. And he's like, you're not mine. I don't have a child. And like I like that. I can just imagine, like, even if like they had a good relationship, or like there wasn't all this anger in her to begin with, I guess, for him to just like stare her right in the face and tell her, you're not mine, you're not my child, like you're making things up, or you're lying, or like you're mixing me up with somebody else. I can only imagine like how much that hurt her and how angry that had to make her. So she made herself vulnerable to him, which is already something we know that her and Lucifer struggle with, is being vulnerable, and especially to the person. Like, Lucifer has Chloe on this pedestal, and it's hard for him to be vulnerable to her at first. I think Rory has, like, obviously she loves Chloe, but I think in a sense she has Lucifer on a pedestal, and she's like, her whole life he's just been like this kind of like distant figure, and she really wanted to like look up to him and love him. So she's got him on this pedestal, and then for him, this person who she has so much love for, and even maybe doesn't want to admit it, she lets herself be vulnerable for a minute to him, and then he just kind of like throws it back in her face without meaning to. Like, I can just see why her walls immediately went back up, and she just was so angry with him. Renee, go ahead.
That actually supports of what I'm saying. Like if like because they say like how much that of Lucifer does love his daughter, and then when she finally meets him for the first time, and like who are you? It's like you go back in time and you meet your parents, and they didn't give you the same expression that you feel like with your parents. So I'm just saying, like, what you're saying kind of respect proves like what I'm saying, that Rory didn't realize that she time traveled in the first place.
And then yeah, so basically, like everyone said, so on Lucifer's side, like even if he knows deep down in his gut, which he does, that she is his daughter, and you can kind of see it on his face when he first looks in her eyes, but he doesn't want to admit to himself that she's his daughter. Um, okay. I was jumping around my notes and now I don't know what it's saying. So hold on a second. Like even if he knows she's his, which he does, he feels it in his gut. You can see it on his face, and he tells Dan, "When I stare into her eyes, it was so familiar, like I knew her, like I knew her." Even if he knows she's his, like he can't admit it to himself. I think because he's afraid of what that could mean and how that could affect his relationship with Chloe and everything he worked so hard to build. Um, And then at the end of the episode, which is episode 3, I believe we're on. No, we're on episode 4. Episode 4. When he finally comes to terms with the fact that he's not being scammed and he does have a daughter he didn't know about, which, by the way, congratulations, Lucifer. He's afraid he might have screwed up his chance with her by acting like a total dick, which is very sad. Like, he realized he really does have a daughter, but that he also pushed her away. And then I just wrote, little does he know what started horribly is actually the beginning of the best part of his existence. Go ahead.
Building off of that too, like I think Lucifer, part of the reason he's so not willing to admit that this is his child is because if she coming back because she's angry at him for abandoning her, if he admits that she is his, that's admitting to the fact that he would do the same thing to her that his father did to him, which is abandoning him and, you know, doing all of the things that he fought so hard to not do. Like he didn't want to be his father, and he didn't want to admit to her or himself or to Chloe, you know, that yeah, I became my father and I left her. I abandoned my daughter and I caused her all of that pain and suffering that I went through, even knowing that it would hurt her. Also, side note, this has nothing to do with our conversation. Earlier I mentioned that fanfic earlier where they were praying to each other. It wasn't usually Sunny that wrote it. I saw it on the timeline, and I wanted to just give credit to the right person. It's I don't know how to say it, so I'm just gonna say it's at Junior Mint, but it's like 2 R's. I just want to make sure that the right person's getting credit. Okay. Anyways, Kim, go ahead.
What I was going to say is I love that we watch the same thing, but we see it differently. And that goes for all 3 of us. Like, I really like that we have 3 different perspectives coming into this conversation. I love that. Also within the episode, I love when Lucifer says to Dan, she's my daughter. And he can finally admit to himself. That makes me emotional every time. Like, his delivery, and I said this throughout watching season 6, like, every single actor in this season deserves like awards and credit, and like I love them all so much. They're all such amazing actors. And then episode 4 ends with Rory flying to Chloe's house, popping up and surprising her. And Chloe has no idea who she is. And Rory just says, "Hi, Mom," and hugs Chloe. Which I know we already talked a little bit about this. This scene. Okay, this scene. In full context, I get where Rory is coming from. In her time, her mom is sick and dying, and here her mom is young and beautiful, and Rory's reaction to seeing Chloe for the first time makes total sense. But I still find the scene so weird. Like, if I were Chloe, I still don't know why Chloe was so chill. I would have screamed bloody murder if I turned around and some random girl was standing in my house. Like, no, I don't know why Chloe was so chill.
Oh no, I mean completely same way. Like obviously Rory seems harmless, but she's had people show up to her house and pull a gun on her with Trixie in the other room. So you think that Chloe would be a little more cautious about random women showing up at her house? Now, like, especially the fact because initially, if someone walks into your house and starts spewing off this nonsense about how they're your child from the future and they somehow like know the layout of your house, like they know where you keep ice cream, they know where the spoons are, they know where your daughter's room is, like I would be a little more concerned, Chloe Jane, like you're a cop. So like, yeah, no, like her reaction definitely is strange to me. But I think it also kind of links back to Lucifer looking at her and just knowing deep down that she is his. I think that kind of happened with Chloe too. Like even just looking at her, she kind of had this like vibe, whether she was aware of it or not, that she had a connection to this person. And so I really wish that someone had called her Aurora, like, and not just Rory, because I love her name. Obviously we're not going to talk about that because secret identity, but like I love her name. And I just wish that once someone had called her Aurora instead of just Rory. But I love the nickname too. But like I love how they show it too, because she's like Rory, Rory. And I'm like, why is everybody like, where's the name Rory coming from? And then they say it's Aurora. And I'm like, oh my God, they didn't. She's like named after Lucifer and Chloe. And it makes me cry every time. Renee, go ahead.
Yeah, like I gotta point out that Lucifer kind of doing the same thing in the early seasons, where there are times where she appears like right behind her, or he went in like unannounced. Chloe turns around like, oh. I mean, at one point in season 2, like Chloe goes, "I'm gonna put a bell around your neck at some point." So, like, Rory doing that, like it could remind her of Lucifer doing the same thing, and like wait, why does this feel like uh like- but for the name like Aurora, it's like a really cool idea how it was not Lucifer who called her that. It was actually Chloe who came up with the name. Like it kind of a nice link to Lucifer being like a light bringer. And also with the names, I would say like Aurora is a girl name, but the nickname is kind of a boy name, so it's a different gender um nickname. But also for Lucifer, like his nickname is Lucy, as in like the girl's name Lucy. So it's kind of a parallel between Lucifer and Aurora with the nicknames.
Oh no, I know it was Chloe that came up with the name. I was saying she's kind of named after Lucifer because Lucifer means light bringer, and Rory is like the coming of dawn, and I just love that. And I really, really love that it was Chloe that came up with that name because it really just feeds back into the point that like Lucifer and Chloe were destined for each other, and the whole reason that she didn't have another child with Dan, and the whole reason that she didn't have another child yet, because it was just kind of waiting for that moment in history for her to have a child with Lucifer, and Aurora was the name, and that was like the coming of dawn or the coming of their new life, and like all this new stuff that came with Rory, and it's just I'm gonna sit here and cry for like 2 hours after this podcast, Kim, and it's 100% your fault.
Sorry, everything is so noisy around me today, and if my dogs bark, I apologize.
I literally
I
cannot
want
hear anything in the background, so you're just like, it's so noisy, and I'm like, I hear nothing.
Okay, well, it makes me nervous. So,
I understand.
since we're talking about this scene, I want to go further into it because it's the opening scene of episode 5, where Rory introduces herself to Chloe in Chloe's house and tells her she's her daughter with Lucifer. Like I said, this scene always weirds me out. Like, did Rory expect Chloe to know who she was? And she literally just broke into Chloe's house. Um, yeah, this scene is so weird to me. And, and Chloe is so goddamn loving. Like, she tells the girl who broke into her house, I'm not trying to be rude. Like, I find that so funny. Um, and then Rory explains the situation because it would be okay. Rory explains the situation because for Chloe it would be hard to miss a pregnancy, and then they hug and Rory cries. And now Lucifer and Chloe both know about Rory, so Chloe brings Rory home to Lucifer so they can face her head on together. Present day Decker Star dealing with future Rory's angst. And I'm going to dive into that scene now. So I've seen this scene before, obviously, but I was still so nervous watching it. Like the way that Lucifer says, we have a daughter, like when it processes in his head. Like I've always loved this line even more than the she's inside you from episode 9. And how he goes from talking to both Rory and Chloe to just talking to Chloe, and like they smile at each other and forget Rory's there. And for me, this is like the I'm pregnant, we're gonna have a baby scene. This scene is so special to me, even more so than the one in episode 9, personally. Um,
I don't know
yeah.
why, but you just reminded me of this. But it's so funny to me because like right when Rory showed up, I knew they were having a kid together. Like after the whole "I'm your daughter" scene, where I had to like take a minute and be like, "Oh my god, like this is happening." But then like the whole like I knew they were having a child. I knew that they were having a child together. So obviously Chloe was pregnant, or she was going to be pregnant very soon. I knew this was coming, and yet still, when she walks in with the pregnancy test and she's like, "I'm pregnant," I literally had to pause my TV and scream for like 20 minutes. I was like, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, they're having a baby. They're having a baby. They're having a baby." And just flip out for a little while, even though I knew it was coming. So, like, thank you, writers of Lucifer, for doing that to me. I don't know who wrote that episode, but, like, I'm under your bed, okay? Renee, you can
Go
go
ahead,
ahead.
Renee.
Yeah, sorry. So like Also, back in season 5, I believe that Michael actually foreshadowed of Chloe being pregnant. It was on episode 8 where Michael kidnapped Chloe in the abandoned zoo place, and Michael goes, "I think we should catch up. I mean, a lot has happened since we saw each other last." And on the emphasis a lot, he looks and gestures towards Chloe's stomach. So it's like that's like an early foreshadow that on that Chloe's gonna get pregnant. Like
If this happened, I didn't notice it. What episode was that?
I didn't notice either.
it was on season 5, episode 8, where Michael kidnapped Chloe. Like while Chloe's having a conversation with Michael, like it's after Michael presents like a latte that she likes, and Chloe just slaps it out of her hand, out of his hand. I gotta say that was funny. So it was on the like on that line. I mean, a lot has happened since we saw each other last. He looks and gestures towards Chloe's stomach, like so. It's like an early foreshadow that Chloe's being pregnant.
I guess I'm gonna have to go back and watch that because I didn't notice it.
Very interesting. Same. So going back to Rory, aka Decker Star's baby, instead of focusing on, for me in that scene, again, it was Decker Star. I love them in that scene. So you talked about this a little bit, but like Rory is like instantly so close to Chloe because Chloe is her mom. Like she's used to being with her and whispering with her. And you can see like looking at Rory how close she was with her mom in her time. And I just love that. Like for Rory, nothing's changed. Her mom just looks a little different. But then for Decker Star, it's like, we just met you. And then I'm sorry, I'm like afraid that you can hear like my dogs in the background. So Chloe,
We can't hear them at all. I can't, anyways. So don't worry
Okay.
so much. I'll tell you if we hear them.
Okay. So Chloe, even though she just met Rory, she is such a mother protecting her child because Lucifer gets really angry and defensive in this scene, and I'll get to that in a second, and like he deserves to be. But Chloe is just so sweet with Rory. Like she apologizes to Rory for Lucifer. She wants Rory to feel comfortable. Like she probably realizes how scary it is for Rory to be home but not home, especially accidentally. Like she just wants Rory to be okay. Yeah. But then for Lucifer, his relationship with Rory is an uphill battle, starting with the fact that, like, okay, Chloe has experience with children, but Lucifer abhors them. So she has to, like, coach him through this new relationship with Rory. And he has, like, 40 years to make up for, and then some, because he was messing up, like, from the beginning with her. And then he starts apologizing for how he reacted when she first showed up. Although she did try to kill him, but that apology is short-lived as he spends the rest of the episode then defending himself against Rory's accusations that he abandons her. Where did I just stop? Sorry. Like she says that he left her and it ruined her life. And he literally refuses to believe that he would ever leave her or Chloe. Like he refuses to believe he would abandon Chloe, let alone his daughter. He insists that he would never abandon them, that he would have to be dead in order to leave them. And goes so far as to believe that Rory kills him and accuses her of it. He will literally find like any reason for why he would do something besides leaving them, because that would never, ever happen.
Well, and like, I like. I don't want to say I like it because I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But I can't think of another word for it, so I'm going to begrudgingly use the word like. I like how like Rory's kind of attitude stays consistent throughout that. Like Lucifer is adamant, like nothing in this world could make me leave you. And it's true, like nothing but her asking would make him leave. And they don't know that. They don't know why he leaves, but I like that, like, she's consistent with the fact that, like, and she only kind of gets angrier. That not only did he leave her, but like he is denying that fact. Like she knows it, she lived it, she went through all that pain and trauma, and it would be like God coming back and being like, I didn't send you to hell. I didn't do these things, which I think he kind of did. And it's just basically like he's basically like unknowingly gaslighting her. And I just like, I don't know, it's a very interesting it's very interesting to see because you see both of their perspectives, but we also see it from the outside, and we're like, we see the full picture and where neither of them do yet, and it's really interesting to watch it develop.
I totally agree. And it's interesting to watch it develop because I think it's funny, like Rory is dragging Lucifer like he's a deadbeat dad, while meanwhile, like her parents are still deeply, madly in love, so he's not that deadbeat. So it's like actually probably kind of confusing for, I don't know, for Rory, or is like, what? No, well, it wouldn't be confusing because she knows her parents or her mom was deeply in love with him, but it's like what is going on here? Like he's I mean, okay, like it's in the whole season, right? Like she's like, you abandoned me. Like, why is everybody so obsessed with you? Like, I don't see like what all the fuss is about you because you are a deadbeat in my eyes. Um, and then just going back, like that's something that I love about her traveling back in time is that she gets to see her parents like in their heyday, the famous mom and Lucifer partnership. But if nobody has anything else for episode 5, I will move on to episode 6.
I think that's it for that episode. Go ahead and continue down your list.
Sorry. Like I said, my house is insisting on being noisy tonight.
You literally like still you don't have to apologize at all. Like like I can't anyway, so I can assume Renee can't either. Cannot hear anything. There's like no background noise. And every 5 minutes you're just like, it's so noisy. I'm like, Kim, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Like, no, I want to talk, but then like my dogs are like breaking down my door, like scratching at it. It's like, okay, let me hold on a second and then I'll get talking again.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, like
I hear
I don't.
nothing.
Yeah, like I don't hear anything either. You sound perfectly.
Okay, thank you. So we'll talk about episode 6. Um, Again, like Rory really, the first couple episodes she didn't have a lot of scenes, but then she got a lot of content. So episode 6, Chloe says that she wishes she and Rory had a better start to their relationship, and Rory reminds her that this isn't actually the start. She tells her, "You may have just met me, but I've known you my whole life, and you are and have always been the most amazing mom." And she gives Chloe a preview of what the relationship is like and how incredible of a mother Chloe is going to be, and that this is from Lucifer, but it's kind of implied that Chloe celebrated every milestone in the most memorable way possible and taught Rory everything she knows. And I love the relationship. And then, like I said, Lucifer has an uphill battle. So, meanwhile, he is still not having a relationship with his daughter, but he takes May's, Linda, and Dan's advice, and he thinks about Rory instead of himself and attempts to fix the years he missed and take advantage of the time he has now with her before it goes away again. And Rory, she doesn't really want to spend time with him, but her mom tells her to. And so, in trusting her mom, she gives Lucifer a chance because her mom is right and she doesn't know him, not yet, and he might surprise her.
Okay, I don't remember if this is the episode you're on or not, but all you're making me think of is that episode where they're sitting on Trixie's bed and Rory answers the phone.
Yes, this
She's
is the
like,
one.
"What?" She's like, "What?" And just Chloe next to her is trying so hard not to laugh. And when Rory notices, she just smirks. And I'm like, that is such a Lucifer and Chloe moment right there. Like, you just see their dynamic shining through between Chloe and Rory. And it's so funny to me because Chloe, for the first like freaking 4 seasons, is so adamant that she does not think Lucifer is funny. And then just Rory does something that Lucifer does so often, and she just has to like hold back laughter. And it's literally one of my favorite scenes, even though it's so insignificant, like in the grand scheme of things.
Go ahead, Renee.
Okay, so like how Lucifer tries to get along with Rory, it kind of makes me think of how God is trying to do the same thing to Lucifer back in season 5. Like even the moment where Lucifer does his dance in the club, like at the near end of the episode, kind of reminds kind of parallels with Lucifer's like, oh my god, now my parents dancing, like I'm like, oh gosh. Rory's like feeling the same way, so it's
Yes. Oh my God. I don't watch, I don't know. I don't watch it like thinking like that far back with like parallels and stuff, but I love that you do and you notice these things because I didn't. I love that. Like I said. But yeah, so uh this episode is really about Lucifer and Rory's relationship, and he does surprise her. Rory walking into Christmas in the penthouse will always be iconic to me. I love that scene so much. Daddy Lucifer, he tries to create or do over every Christmas that he missed with Rory by giving her presents for every year he missed, a giant teddy bear for her first, and that will always make me cry. And he plays pretend in the box, which warms my heart. He's like, a spaceship, a castle, a strip club. And he also gives her a trike and a ball and a glove for them to play catch with. And then she breaks his whiskey with the ball he gives her. Oh, I wish we had more Christmases because I love this scene so much.
I am so sad that we did not get a Christmas episode because I would have loved it so much. Like, it just seems like it would be so cute seeing like a Decker Star Christmas or something. But I love that like he's doing all this stuff and she's just grumpy about it the whole time. So he gives her that ball and she just tries to chuck it at him and shatters the whiskey behind him instead. No, I love that scene and I love how sweet he's trying to be and like headcanon. And again, I will die on this ship that Chloe gave her one of those gifts each year as she was growing up, so that she had something from Lucifer, and maybe she didn't write that it was from Lucifer, but I fully believe that she did, like 100%. Because I mean, just because Lucifer can't be there doesn't mean they can't talk about him and be like, Dad loves you and he sent this for you, and he, maybe once Rory got older, she started like refusing to open them, which makes me really, really sad, and I'm not going to dwell on that for too long, but like I just, I fully believe that she gave those to her.
I love that so much. I love all of your headcanons, of course. Um, and then, so yeah, Lucifer can tell that Rory isn't enjoying herself because she's older than all these kitty presents. So he hilariously shoos Santa away and then takes Rory to learn how to drive his car because what's more grown up than learning to drive? And Rory speeds them through the streets of LA like Lucifer would. And then when they stop at a light, Rory purrs at an older woman, just like Lucifer would, but protective daddy Lucifer scares the woman away. Go ahead, Renee.
The way that Rory drives like really crazy or reckless kind of links of the one time that Lucifer was driving the same way in season 2. If you guys remember, Lucifer was driving tried to race against the airplane, and Chloe is like, oh my god, you're driving like a maniac, and Lucifer like, no, I'm trying to catch it, so hang on. And like, oh. So like Lucifer was acting the way that Chloe was acting from that episode. So like, okay, I know what Chloe feels like behind that reckless driving.
Yes, and then it turns out that Chloe's the one who taught Rory how to drive. But I don't think Chloe would have taught Rory how to drive recklessly like that. I think that is a I don't know what you would call it, like a
Lucifer streak.
Yes, but like it's a trait that she gets from her father without realizing it, really.
A genetic trait.
Yes, that's the word. But so the driving isn't doing it for Rory still. Yeah, so the driving isn't doing it for Rory still, and she's already, like I said, she's already had these moments without him, so she already learned how to drive. She already had her Christmases, so like you can't do over life, even though you might want to. And so Lucifer, realizing that it's silly to try to recreate these moments and that he and Rory need to create their own, still goes about it in the wrong way. Instead of trying to connect with her, he throws her the most lame, embarrassing party and tries to buy her love, which I think this is actually such like a dad moment. Like, it's so embarrassing. But I think this is probably Lucifer's worst idea all day long. Like, I love the Christmas, the driving's great, but this party is just like, this party is so cringe. I can't even look at the screen when he performs for her. Like, could this be any more embarrassing?
Literally, I get such bad secondhand embarrassment from that scene. I have to skip it. I can't, like, I understand it's meant to be that way, but I'm just like, oh, Rory, you poor child. Because it's just, Lucifer, like, he's so oblivious to things. However, I really, really adore the scene between Rory and Maze there, where Maze just knows Rory better than Lucifer, which, for obvious reasons, but she's like, excuse me, it's very late and I'm tired, but she's like, I went out and like handpicked, which is so weird when you think about your aunt doing that for you, but she like handpicked all these women out. She's like, take your pick. They're all here, and like it's just so funny, but it's such a sweet moment, and I can tell that it really lightens Rory's mood.
Yeah, I love her with Maze in that scene. I do think it's a little interesting how Maze knows Rory so well when she hasn't met Rory yet. I think that's interesting, but she just gets her, and I love them in that scene. But for Lucifer, this scene ends horribly. Rory tells him there is no way he can make up for not being there. He wasn't there for her first tooth or her first day of school, and not when she learned to drive or fly. Every birthday, every Christmas, he was never there, and she won't be there for him now, and she runs away to be left alone. Which, like, I totally get. I would have left that party so fast. It was so cringe. But the end of this episode is beautiful. It does more for other people than it does me, but it's such a great scene. Lucifer finds Rory upstairs in the penthouse playing his guitar, and finally they connect over music and sing Bridge Over Troubled Water together with Lucifer on piano, and they have finally found like some common ground, and she gives him a chance. And then real quick, there's a detail in this episode that I love. In the beginning, when Lucifer calls her on Rory's phone, Lucifer is labeled as the devil with the devil emojis. And then just random, where did Rory get that phone? Did it come from the future with her? Do they have those same phones in the future? I find that funny.
I would assume it came back with her. Yeah, or like, yeah, I would assume it just came back with her, like, her clothes and stuff, just something she had on her at the time, and that moved back in time with her. I'm more surprised that if it's like, depending on like, because she's fairly far into the future, I'm more surprised that it works still. But like, yeah, like that whole scene between Rory and Lucifer with them singing, I adore that. I cried over that many times. Oddly enough, like watching season 6, I did not cry at all. I teared up a little bit with the scene between Trixie and Dan, but I didn't cry at all. It was more after, when I realized that the show was over and listened to Bridge Over Troubled Water like 8 times, that I cried hysterically for like 3 days. But no, I love that, and I love the message behind the song, because like Lucifer and her, despite their history, despite the fact that they're at such a like a kind of like an impasse with their impasse. I can't say that word. Such a weird moment in their relationship. This is kind of the moment where, like, even if we're not doing that great, when you're struggling or you're having a hard time, which obviously you are right now, because this has been a very emotionally draining time for all of us. I'm still gonna be here. Like, I still love you. I will still be your bridge over troubled water. I will still support you in every way that I can, even if that means that I will have to leave you to be that for you. I will do that. I will, sacrifice being your father to allow you to become the person that you want to be, even though I fully believe that she could still have become that person. Anyways, we won't talk about it.
Thank you for stopping, because I was literally about to cry. I've never interpreted it that way. And oh my God, now I'm gonna go like listen to it again and cry. Like, I was just gonna say, like, yeah, I would cry to that song too. Like, it's the last one that he sings on the show, and so it's important in that way, but I've never heard of it in that interpretation, and now I need to go listen to it again. Yeah, that was beautiful. I was going to add one other thing about it, and I think it's in my notes, or it's not. But yeah, it's the last song that he sings on the show. Oh, and he's like, I think he's kind of like, this is silly, but I think he's like passing like the musical torch to her in a way, because that's the last song, and he sings it with her, so it's kind of like passing the torch, I think. But yeah, that's episode 6. Anybody have anything else to add while I go cry for a second?
I gotta
No,
say,
I know you're crying.
sorry.
Renee, you're good. Go ahead.
I just gotta say, like, your explanation actually made me tear up just a little bit as well. Like, I really wish, like, in Spotify they had that cover of Lucifer and Rory singing that song, so I could listen to it again. Like, just listening to them sing it, like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, they said they were going to add it, but like, how long does that take? Oh my. Like, is it going to be like when like the season releases on DVD or something? Like, they did say they would work on it, but like, how long does that take? Wow. Okay, so we're gonna dive into episode 7 now. In episode 7, Rory continues bonding with her family in their present. Chloe and Rory bond while Chloe makes Rory lunch, which is one of her famous egg sandwiches. And again, Chloe is such a mom. Like, she warns Rory, be careful, it might be hot. And they're so cute. And Chloe also sees Rory's wings for the first time and is horrified. And we already talked about that. And then we also get a lot of insight, I think, into Chloe and Rory's relationship in the future. And Chloe tries to guilt trip Rory into telling her more about the future. And Chloe says, since I did that little thing of birthing you, and Rory's like, that guilt trip never works on me. Like, their relationship is so cute, and I love them. Go ahead, Renee.
I gotta point out, this is like off because Lucifer and Rory had the scene like they're on like on top of like a skyscraper or like of some sort, like having a really great view of Los Angeles, like in Lucifer's words, it's the most beautiful view of all of Los Angeles, one that can only angels and few pigeons get to see. And like they have like a little bonding moment up there, like especially in regards that Rory doesn't want to go to the wedding, and Lucifer encourages her that it should be like a good idea, just so that we get to know her a bit more. And Lucifer goes like you can't, like, what are you gonna say? And like Lucifer goes, I'll tell people the truth. And Rory's like, but you can't tell people I time traveled. And why not? I've been telling everyone I'm the devil, and it seems, well, views are mixed at this point.
Yeah, I had just written my notes out of order, but yeah, they have that scene on top of the skyscraper where they're finally on a good page. And they continue bonding, and he shows her his favorite view of the city, and he shares stories with her while convincing her to attend Maze's wedding and get tailored with him. And like I said, they're finally on a good page until Lucifer messes it up again by accidentally standing her up for their tailor appointment. Just like her whole life, right? She waited and he never showed, and he said he'd be there. But she sees again that he will always go running to anyone else and choose someone else over her. And so any progress that he made with Rory is now gone, and literally pissed off again, disappointed, Rory lashes out and says that this is what Lucifer does every damn time. He doesn't change. And this part really hurts me at the wedding when she yells that Trixie's not even his real daughter and that he plays Monopoly with her. Like, that part really hurts me when she says that Trixie's not his real daughter. I just think that that's so uncalled for. Like I said, she's really hurt by her dad. Again, like, they made progress, and she's just, and he backtracked basically for her. And that she tells her mom her future. In the beginning, she was like, I can't tell you anything, Mom. Like, it'll ruin everything. But then she tells her mom that Lucifer is not at her deathbed, and that he's never there in their lives. And oh boy, it's a lot.
So this episode made me really mad at Rory for many reasons. Like starting off with the whole thing with Trixie. Although I understand that because she's angry, I get it. You say things you don't mean when you're angry. But the whole getting mad at Lucifer because he didn't show up at the Taylors made me mad because she told him that she wasn't interested, that she wasn't gonna go. So like, why would it be a surprise that he didn't show? You know, like why would that be a surprise? Like it's all just a communication thing. Like with him and Chloe a lot in the beginning. Like y'all just need to communicate more. Like the Decker Morningstar family. Like you guys have terrible communication skills. You need to work on that with Linda, because she could probably help you. But yeah, I just that episode makes me so mad at Rory for that reason. But not just that, but like um. she lashes out a lot, especially at Chloe too, even because she's angry. But I fully believe that Lucifer was there at her deathbed. I think that it was just when Rory wasn't, and like, you know, in the moment that Rory travels back or something, Lucifer wasn't, because we're still at a point where he can't be seen by Rory. So yeah, of course Rory wouldn't see him at her deathbed, but I still fully believe that he was there at some point.
You know, I fully agree. Fully, fully, fully. Also, um, yeah, like Rory has no right to be mad at him. She says that she's not going to the Taylor appointment. So he's like, oh, okay, I guess I won't go to the Taylor appointment. But then she goes and she doesn't tell him that she's going, and then she gets mad at him that he didn't go. And it's like, well, you said that you weren't going. Why would I think that I should be there? Like, she's really unfair to him, I think, a lot. And I think she's looking for him to mess up and do bad things, to be like, oh, see, he's never there. See, he's a bad dad. And yeah, it's just not right.
It's hard. It's a hard situation because like nobody kind of believes her up to this point, because that's just not the Lucifer they know, and nobody knows why he leaves her yet. So like it's hard because she's lashing out and she wants them to see, even if it's over the most minuscule ridiculous thing, that like, see, I'm right. Like you have to see that I'm right. And like I get it, because Lucifer to this point has been adamant against the fact that he left her. And like as a victim of trauma, that can be very upsetting. That can re-trigger you, you know. So like I get it. But I also think that she's being very unfair. But she's still in that like teenage childlike mentality. Um but I just, yeah, I hate that she even goes as far to hurt Chloe, though. Like Chloe, of all people, who she loves and adores, she goes and takes her anger so far that she lashes out at her mother and hurts her in the process of trying to hurt Lucifer by saying, well, Lucifer wasn't even at your deathbed, so what do you think of him now? And that just really hurts Chloe. And I'm like, well, why? Why? Like, why is that necessary? Like, yeah, I mean, lash out at Lucifer all you want, I guess, but leave Chloe alone. Jeez.
Where's the crying reaction? Because I completely agree. Like, she doesn't need to hurt her mom like that. She loves her mom, so why would she say something that is, even if it's true, it's mean and doesn't need to be said? Um, And the reason I had written my notes out of order was because it upsets me what she says about Trixie. And meanwhile, like not even 5 minutes earlier, like she was trying to bond with Trixie. Even though Trixie doesn't know who she is, Rory almost gives away who she really is so that she can like have a conversation with her sister. And I actually love that scene, mainly because of Trixie. Like she tells Rory everything that she loves about Lucifer, but Rory is, like you said, and like I said, she's not looking for positives about him. She's trying to see like, hey, see, like this is the guy that I know. This is the guy that doesn't show. But Trixie's like, I love Lucifer because he's funny and weird and really bad at board games, which just upsets Rory that Trixie got to have these family moments with Lucifer and that Rory never did. And just as a side, like I love that Trixie says that they play Monopoly at least once a week on game night, even if it's not true, because Lucifer's like, that happened twice. And then he's like, I don't even like Monopoly. And Chloe's like, oh, please. Like, I love that whole scene and I love their game nights. And like, that's just a soft detail that I love about the family in general. Anybody have anything more about the wedding?
Only like I said earlier that song that they picked for the Maisie wedding is amazing. And I don't know, I wish that Rory had sat with her parents. Like, oh, and I really like the after party, like not just the scene with Maze and Trixie, but Chloe leading her two children away because they're both in trouble is so funny to me. She just grabs them both by the arm and they're like, okay, we're gonna go have a talk in the hallway because you two can't behave.
Because in Chloe's mind, Lucifer does act like a child. So I'm like, oh yeah, okay. I don't have just two. I have three children to deal with.
Okay, so episode 8, it doesn't show a lot of Rory. Hold on one second. Sorry, I love my dogs, but sometimes I don't. So episode 8 doesn't have a lot of Rory until like the very end. I don't okay, this had nothing to do with Rory, so I don't know why I wrote it. But it does have to do with Lucifer leaving. I wrote, "It hurts me that Chloe believes Lucifer would leave her, but Lucifer abandoned her several times before, so it's not hard for her to believe that he won't be there." Why did I write that? That just hurts. And then about Rory, I wrote, "To prove once and for all that he loves his daughter and have her believe him, Rory shoots Lucifer." Does anybody have anything to add about that scene? Go ahead, Renee.
Rory.
Just the fact that like this is like Lucifer's mind, like yeah, like she's right. Like this is like a chance to prove that I love her by letting Rory shoot Lucifer. Like yeah, like he just asked Rory to like just go on shoot me. I'm like Chloe's like no 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 no, we're not shooting people in this family. Like mom, I think we established it. We just did. And I'm like ha ha ha. She got you. Then move aside, please. I'm your father, and I demand that you shoot me. And like Chloe tries to dismiss the idea, but like Lucifer really needs this idea to work just to prove. And can I point out, like Lucifer just asking Rory to shoot him, but he didn't say like where. So who knows where Rory might aim? But her mom actually, she shot in the leg, like the same spot that Chloe shoots Lucifer um in season 1, episode 4, like the exact same spot. I'm like, whoa, you're
Yeah, I was gonna say, I just think it's so interesting that he doesn't say where to shoot her. And yes, I love that she shoots him in the leg, same as her mom. But like, she's wanted to kill him since she got there. She has a gun in her hand, and he says to shoot him. She could have shot him literally anywhere that she wanted. If she really wanted him dead, she could have shot him in the chest or the heart or wherever. Host, did you have something to say?
My button wasn't working. I forgot what I was gonna say. I literally was hitting it over and over again. I'm like, wait, it's not working. No, but I like that she shoots him in the same place as Chloe. However, Lucifer is gonna have some serious nerve damage in that area. Um, I like, again, it's a headcanon too that he makes Rory a necklace out of that bullet too. Everyone says bracelet, but I'm gonna like hardcore go for the fact that it's probably a necklace as well. Um, and I love that, like, she doesn't try and kill him like you said. She could have shot him anywhere. She could have shot him in the head. She could have shot him in the chest. But I think at that point she was really starting to care for him, and so she just shoots him in the leg like Chloe had, which is like the best parallel. And just it like she's like, see, I knew he couldn't do it. And like I think that's almost a jab to try and make herself feel better, because she's like kind of like Lucifer. She's trying to like make it into a joke, like, and not show that it hurts her. But then he like lifts his hand and shows the blood, and she's like, "Oh my god, it worked."
Oh, I had never heard the theory about the bracelet or the necklace. I love that. That's a nice detail. And I think now we're moving into episode 9, which is the beginning of the end. So nobody cry on me. Um, so Lucifer has no time to waste. He's been told by Rory that this is his last day here and that he's going to disappear. So if this is his last day, he's going to have fun with the people he loves most. First, before they part, Rory reminds her old man how to have fun with karaoke, water balloon fights, and sumo wrestling. And they buy one of everything in the bakery and the jewelry store. And then they go back to the penthouse and talk about their favorite TV shows, Bones and its reboot. Lucifer listening to Rory talk about her, like something that she loves, like his smile literally grows and you can see it on his face. He's just enjoying being with her and she's enjoying being with him and she's smiling and giddy too. And it's just like such a I love that she finally like lets him in and they actually like spend time together and do things together. And whatever you do, like don't think about all the fun things that he would have all the fun things that he would do raising her because they're so cute. Go ahead, Renee.
And like that montage of Rory and Lucifer spending time together, I adore that montage, especially the sumo wrestling and the water balloon fights. Like those two moments actually made me laugh the most out of everything they went through during that montage. And like, and back at the penthouse, like when you get ready to watch the best TV show you ever seen, Bones. I'm like, wait, the original? I'm like, mm-hmm. Yeah, the spinoff from My Time, Kiss Your Bones' ass. And when Rory explains like what more bones would be like, it's a perfect combination of procedure and banter. Lucifer actually said that same line to Chloe back in episode 3, and like, whoa, what do I start? That shows a perfect combination of procedure and banter. Like, it's the same line.
Aw, I never noticed that.
I wanted to just jump in and say that I literally love how they have the same favorite show. Like Rory, no matter how much you fight it, you are just like your father in every single way, right down to like your favorite TV shows. And it's so funny to me because like I love Bones. I loved it long before Lucifer was a thing. So hearing them reference it so many times literally made my life because it was my OG comfort show. But I just love so much that like oh, I forgot what I was gonna say. Dang it. Okay, I lost my train of thought. Kim, go ahead. Or Renee. Somebody talk.
I just gotta say, just this is a bit of off topic here, sorry, but after Lucifer finished, I started watching Bones on Disney Plus just to see why Lucifer likes it. Like I haven't completed the series, but I can kind of understand why Lucifer likes it. But in the end, I will always go back to Lucifer. But it's good to have another show a try.
I love it. And then also in this episode is the big moment where Chloe officially finds out that she's pregnant and carrying her and Lucifer's daughter, and she shows him the pregnancy test. And then later, Lucifer brings Chloe Charlie's old baby clothes that he folded for baby Rory. And then also the beach scene in which Lucifer just asks Rory to take care of Chloe, and she assures him that they take care of each other. And it's like little moments in this episode, but they're so cute.
I literally love that. I keep saying that I literally love all these things because I do. I love all of them, but I am obsessed with the fact that like Lucifer went to like Lucifer, who is obsessed with not wearing used clothing, obsessed with having everything brand new and perfect and name brand, still went to Linda and asked her for leftover clothes from Charlie, and like instead of just accepting them all in a bin and handing them to Chloe, he stood there and he folded all of them and then he packed them up himself and brought them to Chloe. Like, come on, like they really went for our throats with these last 2 episodes. And every single one of these writers, I'm like literally under all of your beds. Like, we need to have a conversation because you were mean.
You think that he asked Linda for the clothes? I felt like she just kind of like offered and had them.
I mean, possibly. I just assumed that like he probably just went over and they were talking about babies, and he knew that Linda had Charlie, so he probably was just like, you know how to do this baby thing and I don't. Can you give us some stuff for me to help Chloe out so that she, and like maybe he knew that Chloe wouldn't accept a bunch of really expensive baby clothes, so he's like, well, like I'll go and see Linda, and Linda will have things that I can give to her. And like I don't know, I just really love that. And like I love that Rory grew up wearing some of her older cousin Charlie's clothes, the other angel baby. And I just like I know that they're super close. And I know that Charlie is probably just like his dad and his mom, and like he's super well behaved and he's like a nerd and he's just gets really good grades, and like Rory's just his mischievous little cousin who he's constantly having to get out of trouble.
Go ahead, Renee.
I kind of support with you, Kim. Like, cause just of the fact that I think for like a Nephilim, which is a angel human hybrid, like that's what they call Nephilim. I think because they pretty much like grow so fast, like so you would assume that he would Charlie would growing out all the baby clothes, and so I think so. I kind of support what Kim is saying, but I kind of understand what you're also saying. Like that, I just that's just something to point out.
I'm gonna make myself cry with this one, but I loved it from the first time watching it. I love that even if Lucifer is going away, like he wants to make sure that Chloe and Rory are taken care of. And even if it's like the little things that he can do, like making sure that she has clothes for the baby, like he wants to he hasn't even known that she's pregnant for a day, and he's already trying to like be a good dad and like get everything set up. And oh boy, okay. And we are on to the last episode that Rory is in, and the last episode of the series, and no crying on me. So, episode 10 picks up where episode 9 ended. Lamech kidnapped Rory, and Lucifer and Chloe have to go and try and save their daughter at 10th and freaking Swanson. I hate it so much. But I love this, that Lucifer is there when Rory needs him the most, and he is the father that she deserves, and he saves her. And not only does he physically save her, but he saves her soul. And Rory calls Lucifer dad for the first time, and like she literally screams it before she saves him. And then they hug, and he calls her out for calling him dad, and she replies, "Did I? I thought I said something like, damn, that hurts when I rip my wings off to save your life." Because even when she's vulnerable, she's still a jokester. And then Rory says goodbye to her parents and says that she'll see her mom real soon. And she does. She'll see her mom in 9 months for Chloe, or rather right now, as she has been born now. And Chloe gets to spend Rory's whole life with her and have a piece of Lucifer with her always. And that's starting right now.
I still really want to know why the loop initially started. Like what caused Lucifer to leave to begin with? Because like it just like I don't understand the starting point, but like as much as the last 2 episodes are really painful for me, and I will probably not watch them again because of that, like I loved certain parts of them. Like the panic room scene is can't talk, an artistic masterpiece. I love it. It's so sweet. And the fact that it was just Tom and Lauren like improving all of this literally makes me want to cry in a hole. I literally cannot get enough of the fight scene where they're going to save her, because it's so powerful. Like the devil, this angel, like, full raging on trying to find his daughter, and then like his human girlfriend, wife, I'm gonna say wife because they're married, I don't care, human wife, they're going together and they're fighting together, all these bad guys. And Chloe getting stabbed literally hurts my heart so much. And I love that I have that jacket in my closet, even though that episode pains me. That jacket, like, it's so cool. And it's like that whole scene where she gets stabbed in the shoulder, the same shoulder she got shot in, is amazing. That just like that whole scene, I love the music and the like Lucifer flashing his devil eyes, and I love how when you come in, like when you initially see Rory, or like when Rory opens her eyes, it's kind of like dazed and like hazy because Rory's obviously drugged. Um, I love that they made sure to include that. And I love that whole final scene there, like her screaming dad. I love like Lamech kind of being, he kind of causes his own death almost. I really wish we knew what Lucifer had whispered to him though. Like I need to know these things.
And for the loop theory, like I'm not quite. I don't really not quite sure like how it started. Like to be honest, but like the thing is like it was Rory's decision to have a happy childhood in order to save all the lost souls in hell. So like if Rory hadn't traveled back in time, Lucifer wouldn't come back into that epiphany that what could help a lot of souls in hell, because we see it from time to time again throughout the seasons of the show, that the characters who were in hell don't actually know they were in hell. They're just mindlessly going through the loop over and over and over again. It's um like for the professor, like where am I? Like you're in hell. Lucifer goes, like, you're in hell, especially with excuse me, Mr. Set Out Bitch in season 5 premiere, and like wait, I'm in hell? Like I don't understand. And like what do you mean? Like um in hell? Like the one and only. And and with Lucifer like understands like people who feel guilty, like because it's kind of hard to go through your own guilt, so it's nice to have a hand. So I kind of I'm really happy for what they're going with, like for the end of the episodes of the show. And also before the show ended, I always tell myself, as long as Decker remained together, I'm happy. And so I'm really really glad that Chloe and Lucifer do remain together till the very end, as they are in their words, partners till the end.
I love everything that you just said. But especially about Rory, it never occurred to me that she kind of makes a sacrifice too. She sacrifices having happy childhood and is like, I'll be sad and in pain and hurting for all these years, so to help you help the people in hell. I never occurred to me that she makes a sacrifice too. I guess all three of them do. Um, and that's really sad. Go ahead, host, and then I have more to add.
I fully believe that, like, the souls in hell have waited this long. And, like, we won't really get into it a ton, but, like, I fully believe that if the souls in hell had waited that long, they could have waited 40 more years. So Lucifer could still be, like, raise Rory. Because, I mean, like I said, we already know that he still visited Chloe. They still saw each other. But, like, I just think it's so unfair. And that, like, after Trixie losing her dad and Chloe losing her dad, and Lucifer not having his dad, like I really feel that Lucifer should have been the one to break that cycle, and that would have ended it on such a good note for him to just see them raise this child together. That was like this miracle and this, like, impossibility that happened because they love each other so much, and because of Amenadiel's rod necklace. Like I would have absolutely loved to see that, and it just, I don't know, it makes me really really sad that that cycle was never broken, that like Lucifer, who put all this work into becoming a better person and did all these things and fought so hard for so many years to get out of this loop that he was in, had to take so many steps backwards and become the person that he didn't want to be. I fully also believe that Rory still had the capabilities to become the person that she wants to be because they self-actualize. Chloe, she could still look up to Chloe and still love Chloe and idolize her and get the pink bladed wings and be this badass, strong, independent woman, and even more so because she would have a loving father. I think that that's a possibility, and I'm very sad that we didn't get that.
Like, I understand like what you're saying, but looking back, like at the near end of the episode, we see like Lucifer is actually very fulfilled and happy with his new role as a like a, they say, therapist in hell. Like, he's not returning as a ruler or like a tyrant ruler of hell like he was at the beginning. So it's not a step backwards. It's that he becomes like more helping, more thoughtful, like, so it's not a step backwards, more like a forward thing. And also, if we all like remember, it took like a long time for um like hell lasts a lot longer. So like 1 month, like a month in Earth is like thousands of years in hell. So like I understand like people might be upset, like it's pretty much eons for Lucifer in hell. But also the thing is, like, as I need to bring up the again, like, the souls in hell don't realize they're in hell, and so they're like torturing themselves. And there are some people who, like Dan, are good people, but they're stuck down there because of the guilt. So someone really got to help them get through it so they can be in heaven where they belong. And that's kind of a fitting role for Lucifer in the end.
I completely agree with what both of you are saying, even though it's different things. I just don't understand personally why Lucifer had to start now and why he had to go down permanently and he couldn't like come up and go down and all that. But okay, moving away from that conversation because it's making me kind of sad. Um, Apparently, I did not write my notes for this episode in order, and I apologize. But like the whole ending montage, so basically all of those scenes, like when we watched them, they were the future, but now they're the past, which it's kind of funny. So like Chloe is back at work as lieutenant. And then I'm so silly, but so the first time I saw the scene where Maze and Eve got that exciting call, for some stupid reason, I thought they got a call about like, oh, they were getting their own baby, but no, they got the call that Rory is here, um, which that scene is so cute, how they're so excited. And then just to come back around, and the reason that we're like talking about all this today is just like, happy birthday, Rory! Happy birthday, Decker Star's baby! Welcome to Earth. Mom of two girls, Chloe is now with both of her daughters. Um, and yeah, so the scene that was the future when we first watched it is now the past, and Rory's been born, and Chloe gets to raise both of her daughters. And yeah, the next time we will have something like that where it's like, oh, it was the future, but now it's the past, is in 40 years when Decker Star is reunited. So I will see you guys then when I am 68. LOL. And then if I have one more thing to say, but does anybody else have something before I go?
Rory is now officially 3 days old, and she's still a little itty bitty newborn, and I find that absolutely adorable. And like I'm like just literally so excited for us to actually get to hang out and like talk more about this, because we can have a proper little celebration for Rory's birthday, even though it'll be kind of late.
I love it. And then the last thing I have here, just real quick, and it's kind of sad, but I want to talk about it because it's something I wrote down. It says, let's not talk about how Lucifer desires to see his daughter grow up, and he has to wait 40 years to ever see her again. He left her, but he didn't abandon her. overall, like, he loved her before he even knew of her, before he knew she existed, before he even knew Chloe was pregnant. And then he had to wait 40 years to be reunited with her and miss her and wait for her for years. And like the woman in season 6, episode 4 says, missing your child is like missing a piece of yourself you can't replace. And Rory's been born, and now in 40 years, they'll be able to spend together they'll be able to spend, oh my God, they'll be able to be together forever as a family. And now Chloe gets to have her to herself for 40 years. And I'm going to cry. Anybody have anything else real quick? Because I have something else.
That's it for me. I am ready for bed.
I know you are. I just wanted to go over my favorite Rory lines because there were actually a couple. They were few, but there were a couple. I love in episode 2, she says to Dan, "No shit, Sherlock." I thought that was just so funny. And then in episode 5, when she has both of her parents together for the first time, she says, "I'd say get a room, but clearly you did." I love that. Anything else from you, Renee, before I go again?
Just try to think. What are the lines that I like from Rory? That also, like, on the topic of that, when Rory did went back to her own time, Chloe noticed it and goes, "Well, look who's back." And who says that line? Lucifer. He says that line twice back in the pilot. Like, well, look who's back. And Lucifer said again in season 2, episode 13. Like, well, look who's back. So it's like a nice comeback to him.
I love all of that. I'm so sorry this one went so long tonight. I kind of knew it would. Okay, like literally I watched all of season 6 and I just have a couple of questions. If you're too tired, host, you can check out. I just have a couple of questions though. Because I want to talk about headcanons and stuff if you have any more, even though it's going to get controversial, so no fighting. But like, what are your Rory headcanons? What do you think her childhood was like and growing up?
I fully believe that Rory, like Lucifer, like after a while, obviously, because Lucifer hated his wings in the beginning, but that Rory was very proud of her wings, and I think like especially as like toddler. So I'm almost positive that at least twice that they were out grocery shopping or something, and Rory just like full on like flashes her wings, and then like I can just imagine Chloe just like stuffing her into like the cart and like shoving a blanket on top of her and being like, "Trixie, get rid of the wings."
Like, in my head, like, I can imagine something like this. So Rory might do something subconsciously that would remind Chloe of Lucifer, like probably the humor, like her revealing like she's part angel. So like, I could just show you my wings. So like, Rory, we're not allowed to show in public. And like, oh right, sorry, mom. And maybe Trixie might help out as well. Like try to keep her angelness in, like not reveal it. I mean your dad does show all the does tell the truth like of who he is, but like no, don't show it to everybody. No, like not everyone understands it.
I have like this headcanon that I think would be so sweet that like until Rory is like two, maybe 3, maybe even 4 because he'd be wearing a costume. Lucifer would dress up as Santa Claus and she would sit in his lap and tell him what she wanted for Christmas every year. I think that would be really sweet.
And also, since it's dressing up, maybe even Halloween or something, like a full costume or something, that'd be cute.
Oh yeah, definitely Halloween. I mean, I see Rory being able to keep her wings out on Halloween too and getting to like stretch them because people would just think it's a costume. So like she would just the thing is like I want to know when she got her pink blades because I doubt as a child she had that because I think that I feel like that would freak Chloe out if she just had a toddler who is tripping and falling over, running around with giant blades strapped to her back. So I feel like that's something that she more developed I mean, like I know Rory says for as long as I can remember, they've been like that. So it must have been that she got them quite young. But I feel like when she was born and like when she first gets her wings, they're white and fluffy like Lucifer's, and then as she gets older, like she kind of like gets inspiration from Trixie, and she's like, "Oh, pink, like Sissy." So she they turn pink, and then as she starts learning things uh from Chloe, they turn into blades. But like I just love the idea of her running around on Halloween with her wings out, and just everybody's like, "Oh, aren't you a sweet little angel?" And she's just like, "Actually, the devil's daughter," and just like going on about how her dad is Satan, and I think it would be precious.
So I kind of have a theory about their wings. So like if you guys remember on the final episode where Charlie does gain his wings and he was like 2 years old, and if we're going like normal, like you don't remember much about your early life until like you're 5 years old, and around when you're a baby, you're like a blank state. Like you don't know who you are yet. Like your personality hasn't evolved yet. So I kind of imagine like in um that Rory might start off with white wings, as in like blank white wings, like her dad, but naturally, because Rory doesn't know much about her dad at that point. So when she gets older and she sees how her mom is like with fighting justice, that she starts self actualize her wings to become all metal and sharp, like to fight for justice, just like her mom. But that that's the theory I just came up with right now. Like, what do you guys think?
I think I love both of your theories. They're so creative and adorable, and I can picture all of them, and they're just like, I love it so much. I do have another like specific question. I don't know. When I was watching all the episodes, like I was like taking notes about like what would this look like in the future for them and stuff. So there was a scene that made me think of Chloe giving. Okay, hold on one second. I'm sorry. So there was a scene that made me think of Chloe giving birth to Rory and how she was probably like freaking out about giving birth, even though she had Trixie 13 years ago, and was like researching everything and asking Linda all the questions about giving birth to an angel and then raising an angel. What do you think she was like in that like process? I guess.
I definitely think that yeah, she was definitely nervous because I mean, even speaking to people who have had a kid a year before their next one, it's still a very nerve-wracking process because it's a lot of pain and you're nervous that your kid's going to make it out okay. Um, and obviously with an angel baby, it's a lot different. Like, they don't know a lot about angel babies. Like, yeah, sure, Charlie got his wings at like 2 or 3, but for all they know, Rory could pop out with her wings, and then they have an entire hospital room exposed to celestials. So also, obviously, Chloe's face in the one episode, she's definitely concerned that a baby with bladed wings is gonna pop out and do all sorts of damage. Which who wouldn't be? But um, I forgot where I was going with this. But I don't know. I literally like. There's just so many different directions you could take Rory growing up, and I really kind of hope that we get like a Lucifer movie so that we can see them all together as a family, but also get some snippets of Rory growing up with Chloe.
Go
So
ahead,
here's
Renee.
my take. Sorry. So like because Linda has some experience, so she would talk to Chloe about it, and also Charlie borns appear normal, so I guess that's from the human side of their DNA, and it wasn't until later where they manifest some wings. So I think it's like so like Linda would definitely talk through Chloe like how to handle and um giving birth to an angel baby, and be like, you know, be like, you'll be fine. Like the wings won't pop out until like later on. But also they did like a scan. I kind of forgot what it was. And they can't see that that Charlie has any wings like on that scan. So they might do that to start with, just to be prepared if Rory does have wings at that point. But mhm.
Yeah, what you were talking about is an ultrasound that Linda had with Charlie while she was pregnant with him.
And then another question that I had while we were watching, okay, I wonder if Rory ever time traveled again. Does anyone think she ever time traveled again? And I'm realizing right now that this could actually make for another movie, maybe. Go ahead, Renee.
Um, maybe in the future, I would say maybe in the future she would try to manifest something that would get her to try and travel again. But with it the possibility, like this is a what if scenario, but what if Rory travels back in time all the way to how her parents met for the first time, and um like I can imagine a fanfic of this happening, like with Rory spending time with both of them, and this would be like who are you, and
There are actually a few fics out right now, where she travels back too far and meets like season one Decker Star. I don't think it's season one Decker Star, but there's one out right now that I think it's might be a writer. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they're writing Unwritten, and I think that that's the one where toddler Rory goes back, and it's like maybe season three. I don't remember. I'm really behind on fan fictions right now, guys. It's bad, but I need to catch up. I really like the idea that Rory in her angsty, like 13-year-old stage, gets into a fight with Chloe over Lucifer and travels back. Um, or even like maybe not even travels back, but like goes to hell looking for her next. I mean, she's got wings, so she can do it. And goes looking for Lucifer, and like maybe like Amenadiel tracks her down, or like there's obviously demons in hell that I'm sure are aware that she shouldn't be there, so maybe one of them contacts Amenadiel or something and has her brought back before she can run into Lucifer. But I just like the idea of her like going down there to find him as like a 13-year-old kid, and kind of like not understanding why she's being kept from him, I guess.
Yeah, there's actually a fan fiction out where that happens. She does end up going down to hell and um, has an accident and ends up passing out. So she doesn't see him. But I won't spoil any more of that. As for Unwritten, yeah, it is toddler Rory who has traveled back. um, as for what season, um, I'm, ooh, I was about to say I'm thinking season 3, but um, it may be season 1. Um, I'll have to go back and reread from the beginning, but yeah. So there's that.
Yeah, I truthfully don't remember because I don't think Pierce is involved, so I don't think it's season three. Maybe it's like beginning of season four, maybe something like that, or maybe even season two. But no, I know the fic you're talking about where she goes to hell looking for him. I liked that one a lot. I have to finish it. I don't remember what it's called. But no, like all these Rory fics that are coming out are just really, really good, and I love like might be a writer and usually Sunny and one of my personal favorites. Shoot, what's their Twitter handle? Why can't I remember it? Hang on. I'm gonna see if I can find them because I really don't remember. They're writing Punishers, JC Beckett. Um, is literally one of my favorites. Like all of these, like, and she's not writing a Rory fic right now, but just all of these fan fictions that have started coming out since season 6 have been absolutely amazing, and this is just like the best time right now for fanfic writers.
I love all these fic recs, so thank you. Go ahead, Tabitha.
I was gonna say I'm gonna toot my own horn here. I actually have a fan fiction out that deals with season 6 called Lucifer's Legacy. It's complete, and there's gonna be a sequel to it. I just haven't had a chance to write it yet because right now I'm waiting around for Rev Pit for an original novel that I'm trying to get published. And also, I'm getting all these other ideas for other fan fiction. But yeah, so I've got some stories on AO3 as well.
Okay, absolutely. Please send the link to that to the Lucifer rewatch page because I want to read it. Um, I also have fan fictions out, but I can't tell you guys what they are without giving away who I am. So like you guys are just gonna have to wait until mid-May when we finally give up my secret identity because I'm fully enjoying being like undercover right now. Although I'm sure a few people have figured it out because of like random things that we've talked about on here.
I love you, and that is so cute.
Who you are. Sorry, Kim.
It's okay. Different topic anyways. I mean, same topic, but different show anyways. I don't know if anybody here has watched Once Upon a Time, but they kind of did that with Snow White and Prince Charming's daughter going back in time and like seeing her parents before they met, and it's one of my favorite episodes of that show.
Yes, I have seen Once Upon a Time. Sorry to interrupt, but yeah, I absolutely love Once Upon a Time.
I started Once Upon a Time and I never finished it, and I don't know why. I think I like started Lucifer right around the same time I started that, and then I just got caught up with Lucifer and I never finished it. But I do remember seeing like something about her going back and like realizing that they were related. So I know what you're talking about, or at least have some vague idea of it. Um, we should definitely at some point, Kim, do a podcast night where we just talk about fan fictions and like recommendations and like talk about different ones, because I think that not only would like people really like that, but that would give detention to a lot of deserving writers. Like I said, usually Sunny, JC Beckett, all of the writers that have been really keeping the fandom going with all of their really great stories. Like Punishers is one of my all-time favorites, and I'm not caught up with it at the moment, but I need to catch up because it's just amazing. And I know you don't really read long fics, but you need to read it.
I absolutely agree. That is a great idea. I do read long fics as long as they're completed, because once I read like a 30 chapter fic and there was no ending and I still don't know how it ended. But I think it would be awesome to do like almost like a book club type thing. I think it'd be like really cool. Does anybody have anything more about this topic? Because I have other questions.
Really quick, yes to the book club. Dude, we could do that. Okay, maybe not like once a week because Mondays is a lot already for me, but like maybe like once or twice a month we could schedule like a Saturday like book club where we talk about a specific fan fiction and like only do completed ones or like mostly completed. Like because I would love to talk about Punishers. I would love to talk about a lot of like Lily's Fix, and like just there's so many we could talk about that I just absolutely adore. That like there's so many deserving writers too that deserve to have that spotlight.
Oh yeah, definitely. I wholeheartedly agree. I would be down for a fan fiction writers club type thing. That way we could also, share ideas, and those of us who do write, can get new ideas and spin different things. But real quick, going back to Once Upon a Time, there is an episode in season uh 2 episodes, season 2, that if you haven't seen season 2 of Once Upon a Time, you gotta see it. It's called Lacey, and that's all I'm gonna say.
I saw the entire series when it came out. I know exactly what you're talking about.
I figured you would as soon as I said it, but that's okay.
Okay. I just have a couple more questions about Rory. Let me grab them right here. Because I was watching season 6 and then thinking like just a lot of stuff. I was thinking about how crazy it was that Decker Star met their daughter before she was born, before they even knew they created her. And so I think like I wonder how it was with Chloe going about raising Rory and not telling her like she knew her before she knew her. Like I know she's a really good liar, but like that's such like a weird thing to keep from your child. And then another question. Well, not a question. These are just my theories, I guess. I'm sorry. So Lucifer, Rory says that Lucifer was well aware of her existence, and I was just like, yes, he is, and he has in present day he has like photo albums full and videos, and he's in her life in every way he can be without her knowing. Here was a question that I did have. So Lucifer's car becomes Rory's. So what's the story there? How did she get his car? Go ahead, Renee.
So, like, for the answer for the first question you asked, I think that based on how Chloe knows of what Rory's going to end up with, she would try to keep it like as close to her as possible, but in the same time Rory managed to do it on her own kind of thing because it is her unique personality. And for Lucifer's car, Rory did say that did I think that that's what it is, that Chloe did give Lucifer's car to Rory, and I'm guessing like before Lucifer left, uh because Lucifer learned that Rory Chloe gave Rory his car. So he would put his car, like before he went to go to hell, he would put his car somewhere safe, like just for the time being. And like I think that just before he left he was like, here, have your keys. And I learned that someday you would give this to Rory in the future, so you can do that for me, and you don't need to mention it was from me. I'm like, but that's my take on your questions.
No, I love it. That's exactly why I'm asking is I just want to hear other people's opinions. Um, and then okay, Trixie met Rory at the wedding. Do we think that Trixie remembered Rory, especially when she starts calling her sister Rory? Do we think that she like remembers her or anything?
I think she would. And then she would have like a lot of questions for Chloe, to try and figure out, okay, what's going on? What do I, what have I missed out on? Because I wholeheartedly think that even though it's never revealed that Trixie's in the know, she knows. She knows what's going on. She knows, who Lucifer is and who Maze is and, everything else. Yeah, I think she would remember. And because it was just an awkward, conversation between the two of them. So it would be something definitely that would be in the back of her mind. And she eventually would remember and, say, okay, mom, unleash what's going on.
I think that Trixie knew pretty much the minute Rory left because Lucifer also had to leave. Now, again, like, I don't think that Lucifer left Chloe and Trixie. And there's a lot of things in season 6 that also hint at that. But he obviously had to make trips back and forth, and Trixie would want an explanation for that. So I think that after Rory left, and there was not really any more danger of screwing up the timeline at that point, Chloe probably told her, well, she was your sister, she came back, this is what's happening, and Lucifer's going to be, traveling back and forth, and there might be periods of time where we don't see him for a couple of days because, once Rory gets older, he can't come around as often.
And I like to think like because Trixie is now a big sister to Rory. Like now she would bring support helping Chloe as she called it. After all, like Trixie is like a 13 years old, like older, like really 13 years older than Aurora. Like so she would definitely have some big sister's shoes kind of role. So like before Lucifer would left, she would like I seen it in the fan I read it in the fanfic, but like Lucifer and Chloe would tell Trixie the situation, and um Trixie would try to help keep under wraps. I mean, the only person out of the dark during her timeline is Rory. Like, but for the other people, might have known why Lucifer left. So it's just something to keep the timeline intact with the time loop.
Good answers from everybody. I just love hearing other people's opinions about these questions. That's all. Um okay, and then these last two are not really questions, they're just really sad things. Um, I wrote, it's so sad knowing that Rory's going to grow up mad at Lucifer, and I feel so sorry knowing the pain that she's going to feel because she chose to feel that pain. And then I will leave it with that because if I go too much into my own headcanon, I know that I will get hate from somebody somewhere. So that's it for me, really. I just want to add one other detail because I still think it's funny. For some reason, I really believed that Decker Star's baby was going to be a boy, and so I was like surprised that it was a girl. But that's everything that I have for tonight. For Rory's birthday party, and I thank you guys for hanging out with me all night long here. Does anybody else have anything else that they want to add before we sign off for tonight?
I'm just going to add the fact that, like, I was adamant to the fact that it had to be a girl, that there was absolutely no possibility that Lucifer makes boy babies. So I was like, it's a girl. They're having a girl. She's going to have some sort of, like, celestial type name. And then they show Rory, and I'm like, no, that's his sister. They're having a baby. Like, they're having a baby, and that is his sister. And then they're like, I'm your daughter. And I'm like, oh my God, what's happening? Anyways, that's all I have to say because I'm literally going to fall asleep on you guys. So, like, love you. Renee, go ahead.
So like yeah, Rory's a girl, but like there's some boy aspects of her personality. So I could say like she's like a blend of both. Like so not in like a boy in the sense of, but Aurora could be like a tomboy kind of person. So that kind of a link.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. And now thinking about it, it's like, well, we already had the boy with Charlie, so it would be a girl. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Does anybody else have anything else before we sign off for tonight? It's been a really long night, but thank you for hanging out with me tonight. This was fun.
Yeah, I wanted to say real quick that part of me wanted them to have a boy, even though we already had Charlie, just simply because I thought it would have been really cool to, see Lucifer's reaction of, having a son. So that's actually one of the reasons why I've started writing a fanfic where they have twins, a boy and a girl. So, but I'm twisting it a little bit because I'm including Trixie as his daughter. So basically, it was a prompt that I saw on Twitter based off of a little video snippet of Detective Decker and Lieutenant Morningstar. And I just loved that little video snippet. I'm like, okay, yeah, I got to do this. So, anyway.
Like all I can say is like it feels great to be part of this, and happy birthday, Aurora.
I know. Happy birthday, Rory. Welcome to Earth. Um, Anything else, host, or are we done for tonight?
Happy birthday, Aurora Jane Decker Morningstar, and I'm gonna go to sleep. So regardless if you guys are done, I'm done, and I'm the host. So like, we're done. Bye.
Bye, you guys. Have a good night and a good week.
You too. Happy birthday, Rory.
Bye. See you next week.
Bye. See you next week.